Have you ever looked around and wondered, why is my journey so much heavier than everyone else's? You try to walk in righteousness. You strive to obey. You pursue God with a sincere heart. Yet somehow, the road seems lonelier, the storms more violent, and the nights longer. This isn't coincidence. This is the sacred cost of being chosen. There is a mystery to divine selection. While the world glorifies blessings as ease and abundance, those truly chosen by God walk a path marked by fire, pruning, and silence. Not because God has forgotten them, but because He is forming them. What you're feeling, this tension in your spirit, the weight you carry in silence, the invisible war waged within you, is proof that heaven has marked you. In this message, we will explore 5 profound pains that only those who are truly called and chosen by God experience. These are not punishments, they are preparation. And by understanding them, you will begin to see your pain not as a curse, but as a holy assignment. Stay with me until the end, because if you identify with what I'm about to share, it's not just confirmation, it's your awakening. Pain 1. The silent sting of rejection. Rejection is one of the most confusing and heart-wrenching pains that the chosen ones experience. Not because they've done anything wrong, but precisely because they are becoming who God has called them to be. It comes quietly, often without warning or explanation. One day, the friend who used to call daily goes silent. Family members begin to pull away, offering polite smiles but cold distance. Colleagues who once laughed with you now keep their conversations short. You replay your interactions, wondering, did I say something wrong? Was I too distant? But deep inside, you sense that this is not a social issue. It's a spiritual shift. It's not about what you've done. It's about who you're becoming. As your intimacy with God deepens, your spiritual light begins to shine brighter. And that light, though pure and holy, can feel like exposure to those who are still comfortable in the shadows. You didn't change to push people away. You changed because you said yes to the fire, yes to the refining, yes to the sacred call that demanded you grow. But as your spiritual hunger increased, something in you became unsettling to others. Your presence convicts, not through judgmental words, but through quiet integrity. And when people are unwilling to confront their own stagnation, they often choose distance over transformation. That's why rejection is not always personal. Many are not rejecting you. They are rejecting the reminder of the God they've been avoiding. Even Jesus wasn't exempt from this pain. His neighbors scoffed, "Isn't this the carpenter's son?" He was doubted by his own family, misunderstood by those closest to him. So when you feel abandoned, remember, you walk in the footsteps of the Savior. Rejection, painful as it is often God's way of clearing your path. Not everyone can walk with you into the next season. Some connections were only meant for where you've been, not where you're going. And while it hurts to lose those relationships, know this: what feels like isolation is often divine protection. God is not punishing you. He is positioning you. Every door that closes is a subtle whisper from heaven saying, "I'm making room. I'm realigning your circle." You are not meant to live for the approval of the crowd, but for the affirmation of your Creator. Rejection refines your focus. It teaches you to rely not on applause, but on obedience. And as the old falls away, God will surround you with people who see your anointing, understand your burden, and strengthen your walk. Until then, stand firm. Let the pruning do its work, because the sting of rejection, when surrendered to God, becomes the birthplace of divine purpose. Pain 2. The agony of purposeful loneliness. There is a unique kind of loneliness that visits those who are chosen by God, a sacred solitude that is not born of isolation, but of divine intention. It's not the kind of loneliness that comes from being physically alone, but the kind that lingers even in crowded rooms, even when you're surrounded by people who care. You laugh with others, share meals, attend gatherings, and yet something inside you feels unreachable, unshared, unseen. It's not that you don't love people, you do. But the vision God has placed inside of you is often too big, too deep, too spiritual for words. You carry a universe within your spirit that others cannot grasp, and that realization is quietly heartbreaking. It's the ache of carrying something eternal in a world obsessed with the temporary. While others talk about daily routines, politics, or weekend plans, your thoughts are consumed with purpose, destiny, and eternity. You see things others don't. You feel burdens others can't name. You wake up with a weight on your heart that no one else seems to notice. And though you long to share it, you've learned that when you do, your passion is often met with misunderstanding or silence. People don't always know how to respond to spiritual hunger when their own lives are centered around comfort. This purposeful loneliness is a classroom designed by God. In the quiet spaces, where no one else understands you, God becomes your confidant. He is the only one who truly sees the depth of your calling and the pain that accompanies it. It was in the solitude of Gethsemane that Jesus faced his most crushing burden, and even then, his closest disciples fell asleep. They loved him, but they could not carry what he carried. And so, he wrestled with the weight of destiny, alone. You too will have Gethsemane moments, nights when tears stain your pillow, when your prayers are whispered into silence, when the weight of your purpose feels unbearable. But in those sacred moments, God is not distant. He is forming you. He is speaking in ways that only silence can reveal. The very loneliness that breaks your heart is also the space where your spirit learns to breathe heaven's air. It is there that prophets are shaped, leaders are refined, and visionaries are born. And while this kind of loneliness feels endless, it is not forever. There comes a time when God will surround you with those who speak your spiritual language, those who don't need explanations to understand your heart. But until then, the loneliness is your sacred space. It is where you and God meet in the most honest of places, where your soul finds rest not in people, but in presence. Embrace the loneliness, not as punishment, but as preparation. It is not your weakness. It is your consecration. You have been set apart, and the silence you walk through now will one day become the voice that leads others home. Pain 3. The relentless inner conflict. There is a silent war that rages inside the heart of every chosen one, a battle not seen by others, but deeply felt in the private chambers of the soul. It's the conflict between who you are and who you're called to be, between the spirit that longs to please God and the flesh that resists the process. It's the tension between holy hunger and human weakness, and it's relentless. You wake up with the desire to seek God, but suddenly your mind is clouded with distractions. You sit to pray, but words feel distant. You open your Bible and your eyes glaze over the text you once devoured with passion. You commit to fasting, but the smallest craving feels like an unbearable temptation. And in those moments, guilt creeps in like a thief, whispering lies. You're not strong enough. You're not sincere. You're not worthy. But this struggle, this war within, is not a sign of failure. It's the proof that you are alive in the spirit. The very fact that you feel the battle means your heart hasn't grown numb. Dead things don't wrestle, but those who are spiritually alive feel every pull, every tug, every tension between light and darkness, between calling and comfort. Even the Apostle Paul knew this torment. He wrote, "I do not do the good I want to do, but the evil I do not want to do, this I keep on doing." And these weren't the words of a new believer. Paul, seasoned in faith, filled with the Spirit, still confessed that within him existed a battle he couldn't win alone. That's the mark of the chosen, not perfection, but sensitivity, a heightened awareness of sin, a deeper grief over compromise, an ache to please God that grows heavier the closer you get to Him. The enemy sees your potential. He knows your purpose. And so, he tailors temptations with precision. If you're called to speak truth, your voice will be attacked through fear or slander. If you're called to lead, pride will test your humility. If your anointing is worship, you'll battle performance and vanity. The attack is personal because the assignment is powerful. What makes this war even more painful is looking around and seeing others who seem unbothered, unaffected, as if they've reached a peace that constantly evades you. But peace without battle is often a sign of surrender, not victory. The absence of struggle doesn't always mean strength. It may mean someone stopped fighting. You, on the other hand, are still wrestling, still resisting, still reaching. God does not ask you to be flawless. He asks you to be honest. When you fall, rise quickly. When you're weak, cry out for grace. Each battle you fight chips away at pride and builds a foundation of real, lasting humility. You're not called to win every moment. You're called to stay in the fight. And with each internal victory, the image of Christ is carved deeper into your soul. This conflict is not your defeat. It is your refinement. Pain. 4. The crushing weight of renunciation. One of the deepest and most difficult pains the chosen must endure is the quiet, aching weight of renunciation. It's not always a dramatic act, nor is it always visible to others. Often it begins with the smallest whispers from God, gentle nudges in your spirit that something you once enjoyed no longer fits where He's taking you. A song that once uplifted you now unsettles your soul. A show you used to laugh at now offends the sensitivity the Holy Spirit is cultivating within you. A friendship that once felt life-giving now drains your purpose. These are not always sinful things. Many of them are good, harmless by the world's standards. But for the chosen, they become distractions from the divine. And then come the heavier sacrifices. The good job with a stable salary that no longer aligns with your calling. The relationship filled with love but not with vision. The familiar city that no longer feels like home because God is calling you somewhere unfamiliar. Perhaps most painfully, there are dreams you've held for years, goals that made sense, plans that were perfectly reasonable, that God gently asks you to lay down. Not because they are bad, but because they are not best. This is the agony of renunciation, letting go of something you love, something safe, something sensible, simply because God said, let it go. And that obedience doesn't always come with clarity. He rarely shows you the full picture. More often than not, all you're left with is the sound of a door quietly closing behind you, and the whisper of God promising something greater just beyond your current reach. Abraham knew this pain when God told him to leave everything, his land, his family, his identity, for a promise he couldn't yet see. Moses left the palace for the wilderness. Paul laid down the status and security of his former life and called it all rubbish compared to knowing Christ. And Jesus himself told his followers, "Whoever wants to come after me must deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me." The path of the chosen is paved with sacrifices, some visible, some internal, all costly. But here's the mystery. Every surrender becomes sacred soil for growth. Every yes to God requires a no to something else. And while it may feel like subtraction, it is divine multiplication in disguise. God is not cruel in asking you to let go. He's strategic. He's clearing space for something far more eternal, something you couldn't carry if your hands were still full of what once was. Renunciation isn't rejection, it's refinement. It's the evidence that you are being shaped for a glory that can't coexist with what you once called normal. So when God asks you to release what you love, trust that He's making room for what you were born to carry. And though the letting go may break your heart, what comes next will heal it in ways you never imagined. Pain 5. The long, unseen seasons of waiting. Perhaps the most silent and misunderstood pain of the chosen is the long, stretching season of waiting. It is the in-between place, the gap between the promise and the fulfillment, where God seems quiet, the heavens feel still, and the dream He once whispered burns like a slow fire within your soul. You remember when He spoke clearly, when vision came alive in your spirit, when His calling stirred something so powerful in you that you thought it would surely come to pass quickly. But days turned to weeks, weeks into months, months into years, And now all that remains is the echo of that promise and the growing ache of uncertainty. Waiting is not passive. It is a soul-deep wrestling, a sacred tension between faith and doubt. You pray, but the answers seem delayed. You obey, but the doors remain closed. You worship, but it feels like singing into silence. You try to be faithful, but the more time passes, the more tempted you are to believe you misunderstood God. Did I hear him wrong? Did I miss my moment? Has he changed his mind about me? Meanwhile, you look around and see others advancing. Their prayers are answered swiftly. Their testimonies seem effortless. Their blessings arrive on schedule. And in the quiet of your heart, you wonder, why not me? Why is my process so long, so quiet, so hidden? This is the hidden furnace of the chosen. For what God is doing in you requires more than quick breakthroughs. It demands deep transformation. Joseph waited in a prison cell for years, his dreams seemingly forgotten, though they were simply maturing in the silence. David was anointed king, but spent a decade fleeing caves, living in obscurity, shaped in isolation. And Jesus, though perfect, waited 30 years before stepping into 3 short years of public ministry. The longer the wait, the greater the weight of the calling. God is not just preparing the promise for you, He is preparing you for the promise. And that kind of preparation can't be rushed. In the silence, your character is tested. In the stillness, your faith is refined. And in the waiting, your trust is no longer based on feelings, but rooted in the unshakable truth that God is faithful, even when He is silent. The danger of this season is the temptation to create counterfeit outcomes, to step ahead of God and manufacture what only He can deliver. Like Abraham with Hagar, it's easy to try to force what God has promised. But those who are chosen learn to wait, even when the waiting hurts, even when the silence feels suffocating. Waiting is not wasted time. It is sacred ground, where trust is forged in silence, and where your soul learns to commune with God in the deepest way. And when the appointed time comes, because it will come, you'll see that God was never late. He was building something in you that couldn't have been formed any other way. The wait was not a pause. It was preparation. If your heart has ached as you listened, if you saw your own reflection in these 5 sacred struggles, then take a deep breath, because you are not alone, and you are not forgotten. Your pain is not meaningless. Every silent night, every unseen battle, every step of obedience in the dark, it's all part of a greater plan. You have been set apart, not because you're stronger, but because God has chosen to form something deeper in you. While others are being built for the moment, you are being shaped for eternity. You may not feel it right now, but you're becoming exactly who heaven had in mind when God breathed life into you. The rejections, the loneliness, the inner war, the sacrifices, and the waiting, all of it is refining you, preparing you to carry something holy, something weighty, something that will bless others long after the pain has passed. So keep going, keep trusting, keep holding on to the voice that first called you. Because the one who began this good work in you, He will be faithful to complete it. Thank you for being here, for listening, and for sharing this sacred space with us. If this message spoke to your spirit, if it helped you breathe a little deeper, stand a little taller, or hope a little harder, we'd love to walk this journey with you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more messages like this, words that strengthen the chosen, uplift the weary, and remind you that you're not walking alone. Tap the bell icon so you never miss a moment of encouragement. And if this message blessed you, consider sharing it with someone who may need it too. Together, let's keep pressing forward, through the pain, toward the purpose. Because for the chosen, the best is not behind you. It's still to come. Somewhere behind the curtains of silence, unseen eyes are watching. You feel it, don't you? The air has shifted. Something invisible has broken loose, not with noise, not with confrontation, but with one quiet, courageous act. You walked away. You turned your back on control. You stepped out of the system of fear that once held you captive. And now, the world, once certain in its illusion of stability, is beginning to tremble because of you. You weren't supposed to find peace outside their boundaries, but you did. And your courage became more than an escape. It became a signal, a spark of hope in hearts that had long forgotten they were allowed to dream of freedom. If this message spoke to something deep inside you, we just want to say, thank you. Thank you for showing up, for listening, and for being part of this awakening. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to join a growing community of souls choosing truth over fear. And we'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment below and share your thoughts, your story, or even just a word that resonates with you. Your voice matters. Your freedom is just the beginning, and we're honored to walk beside you on this journey. They built it so carefully, a world that looked orderly, harmonious, and unshakably firm. From the outside, everything seemed in place. Silence passed as peace, and obedience masqueraded as unity. But beneath the polished exterior lay the true foundation of their empire: fear. It wasn't admiration that upheld their power, nor was it wisdom or fairness. It was control, cunningly crafted and methodically enforced. They ruled not with love, but with leverage, not through inspiration, but through intimidation. Every decision was guided by one goal: to keep others small, compliant, and afraid to question. Those who followed didn't do so out of loyalty, but out of dread. Dread of punishment, of what might happen if they ever dared to step out of line. It was about domination dressed in the garments of leadership. The puppet master, the self-appointed authority, didn't need to prove their value. They demanded submission. They instilled the belief that survival required obedience, and that questioning them would only lead to chaos. The more their followers feared losing favor, the more tightly they clung to the illusion that this was the only way life could work. It was a system held together not by truth, but by illusion. A house of cards balanced on manipulated minds and manufactured consequences. Yet illusions are only powerful as long as no one challenges them. Their power thrived in darkness, in silence, in blind compliance. The moment someone saw beyond the veil, the moment you did, the architecture they spent years constructing began to tremble. Because in a world built on fear, the greatest threat is not rebellion, it is awareness. And awareness, once awakened, cannot be undone. You stepped out of the system they told you was unbreakable. And then, the unthinkable happened. Nothing. No collapse. No divine punishment. No unraveling of your life. The sky didn't fall. The silence that followed was louder than any warning they had ever given. And that silence stirred something deep in the hearts of those still inside. People began to notice. They watched, waiting for your downfall, clinging to the belief that disobedience brought disaster. But as days passed and you not only survived, you flourished. The cracks in their certainty began to form. Doubt crept in, slowly, softly, like dawn breaking through a tightly drawn curtain. If they left and are still standing, what else have we believed that isn't true? It began in whispers, hushed conversations, sideways glances, brief moments of hesitation before following orders. But even a whisper, if true, is louder than 1,000 lies. The impossible had happened before their eyes. Someone escaped the web and lived to tell the tale. And if you could leave, perhaps they could too. That thought, fragile but relentless, lit a fire. You didn't mean to be a spark. You were just being true to yourself. But that spark found dry ground, and what once was held together by fear now flickered with questions, with curiosity, with quiet courage. All because one person, you, chose freedom over fear. At first, they told themselves it was a fluke, a small act of defiance that would soon fade away, but it didn't. Your absence, quiet yet undeniable, began to echo through the halls of their carefully constructed illusion. What they built was never real authority. It was a performance, upheld by fear, and maintained only so long as no one dared to question it. But you did, not with confrontation, not with outrage, simply by choosing to live outside their control. That choice alone was enough to expose the truth. They were never as powerful as they appeared. Without your submission, their words lost weight. Their commands began to fall flat. One by one, others noticed. Not just that you had left, but that you were free. Their threats, once terrifying, now rang hollow. And when no punishment came for you, the spell began to break. What was once unshakable now seemed fragile. The obedient began to hesitate. Those who had enforced the rules began to second-guess. Loyalty, once blind, became laced with unease. You hadn't raised a rebellion. You had revealed reality. And reality was this: the control they held was never about strength, but about secrecy. It could only survive in the dark, in silence, in fear. But now the lights had been turned on. The illusion was crumbling, not because you attacked it, but because you no longer needed it. That was the truth they couldn't bear. That someone could live, breathe, and thrive beyond their grasp. And worse, others were beginning to believe they could too. The collapse had begun, not with chaos, but with clarity. You had done the one thing their entire system couldn't withstand. You disproved it, simply by walking away. Panic never announces itself with grace. It scrambles, it claws, it disguises itself in desperate attempts to appear composed. And now, stripped of the illusion of control, that's exactly what they're doing. The puppet master, once towering in perceived authority, is unraveling behind the scenes. With each day that you remain free, they lose ground. They cannot bear the thought that someone escaped, not because they care for you, but because your freedom is a threat to the illusion they've so desperately curated. So they scramble. They try everything. Guilt-laced words wrapped in concern, whispers of, "You've changed," subtle insinuations that you're lost. They craft crises from nothing, sowing confusion and conflict where there is none, hoping to draw attention away from their own crumbling influence. If they can't control you directly, they'll try to control how others see you. All of it, the rumors, the faux compassion, the staged concern, is nothing more than an elaborate performance designed to do one thing: bring you back into the fold. Because if they can bring you back even briefly, they can point and say, "See? No one really leaves." That illusion, the myth of inevitable return, is the last thread holding their narrative together. They need you to return, not out of love or reconciliation, but to restore the lie that you've already shattered. And when guilt doesn't work, they'll escalate. They'll send others, masked as friends, pretending to understand, only to gather information, to find your weakness, to spin your words against you. But what they don't understand is that once you've tasted truth, no amount of manipulation can bind you again. The game they're playing is already lost. They just haven't accepted it yet. All you did was choose truth, and somehow, that was enough to spark a quiet revolution. Without ever intending to lead, you became a guidepost. Without seeking influence, you became influential. Because in a world obsessed with control, freedom is magnetic. Others look at you now, not because you demanded it, but because they see something they've been longing for: a life unchained. You walk with clarity, and you move forward, unburdened by the weight of approval or fear. That kind of peace is rare and powerful. It calls to something deep inside others, something that's been silenced for too long. They study your steps not because you ask them to, but because your life whispers a different way, a better way. And as they watch, many begin to realize that their chains were never locked, only imagined. That's what unsettles the puppet master the most. You're not campaigning against them. You're not trying to overthrow anyone. Yet your very existence outside of their control exposes the fragility of their reign. It reveals that obedience wasn't loyalty. It was fear. And now, fear is losing its grip. Your influence grows not by force, but by freedom, not by shouting louder, but by standing still. That's the paradox they cannot understand, that someone with no need to dominate can hold more sway than those who rule with iron fists. You are not powerful because you sought power. There was a time when their presence struck fear, when a single word, a glance, a command could make hearts race and minds fall silent. They were untouchable, or so it seemed. Cloaked in authority, they commanded not through respect but through intimidation. Their name was spoken in hushed tones, their approval was coveted like oxygen, and their wrath avoided like fire. But now, something has shifted. Where once there was fear, there is something far more damning. Pity. People no longer tremble when they speak. They tilt their heads with quiet disbelief. The same voice that used to silence entire rooms now sounds desperate, even hollow. Their actions, once seen as calculated and commanding, are now transparent attempts to hold together a crumbling empire. The power they clung to for so long is fading, and they know it. But what truly terrifies them is not the loss of influence, it's the indifference. People no longer care. The obsession, the reverence, the fearful loyalty they once inspired is dissolving into silence. And silence is far more dangerous than defiance, because it means they no longer matter. They yell louder, stir up drama, demand attention, but the crowd that once hung on every word is drifting away. Even their most loyal followers are beginning to look elsewhere for guidance, many turning their gaze to you. And that, above all else, is what haunts them. That the same people who once defended them without question now see them for what they truly are. Not powerful, but pitiful. Their fearsome image is fading, replaced with the image of someone grasping at shadows, terrified of being forgotten. And the irony is unmistakable. The one who once held everyone captive in fear now finds themselves trapped in irrelevance. Something irreversible is happening, and no matter how tightly they cling to their fading throne, the tide will not turn back. It began slowly, just murmurs, glances, a flicker of hesitation in those who once followed blindly. But now, the whisper has become a conversation, and that conversation is turning into action. People who were once enforcers of the system are beginning to question everything. They are comparing notes, reflecting on their experiences, and realizing the cracks were always there. They were simply trained not to see them. What held them captive for so long wasn't truth, but fear, expertly woven into every command. But fear is a poor foundation, and once it's gone, the entire structure begins to wobble. Now, those who once silenced others in defense of the puppet master are speaking out, asking questions, and facing the truth they once avoided. They are awakening, not because someone ordered them to, but because your courage showed them it was possible. Your simple act of leaving was a seed planted in dry ground, and now it's blossoming into collective clarity. The system they relied on to keep everyone small is failing, and they know it. Every person who steps away adds to the unraveling. The fear that once united them is turning into a shared sense of betrayal, not just by the one who ruled them, but by the very lies they were fed. They are realizing they were never truly protected, only controlled. And the more they see, the less they believe. This shift cannot be undone because it is no longer just about you. It's about them reclaiming their minds, their voices, their lives. The spell has broken, the truth is out, and there's no going back. They never truly saw you, not as a person, not as a soul with depth, dreams, and purpose. To them, you were a role, a utility, a piece of their machine designed to obey, to conform, to serve their agenda. They never loved you. They used you. You were valuable only so long as you were useful to their system. And the moment you stepped out of line, questioned the script, or dared to imagine something greater, they rewrote your story for you. Not as a seeker of truth, but as a traitor. They whispered that you were unstable, rebellious, lost. But that was never the truth. The truth is, they were terrified of what your freedom represented. Because when you walked away, you weren't just breaking their rules. You were breaking the illusion that no one ever leaves. And in doing so, you shattered the lie they depended on. That control was permanent. That obedience was natural. That their grip was unbreakable. They don't miss you. They miss having power over you. What they grieve isn't your absence. It's the loss of the image they crafted of themselves. As untouchable, central, absolute. Your departure didn't just remove you from their system. It revealed that their system was never real to begin with. Now, they are scrambling not to win you back out of care, but to reclaim the narrative. Because if you can leave and thrive, it proves they were wrong all along. You are not who they said you were. You are not a failure. You are not lost. You are free. And finally, you're becoming exactly who you were always meant to be. They crafted the narrative carefully, that anyone who left would suffer. That separation meant isolation, that stepping away would surely end in regret. You were supposed to fall apart without them. That was the story they repeated over and over, not just to you, but to everyone watching. And so, when you walked away, they waited. Waited for your collapse. Waited for the moment they could say, "See? No one survives outside." But that moment never came. Instead, something they never anticipated began to unfold. You flourished. You found peace they couldn't fake. You discovered strength they never taught. You grew in silence, rebuilt in stillness, and began to shine in a way they never allowed. And the people who once believed in your inevitable failures started to take notice. Their fear-based faith began to tremble, because what they saw wasn't someone broken or lost. It was someone alive, someone radiant, someone becoming whole. And suddenly all the warnings they had been fed seemed hollow. If you could thrive in the freedom they were taught to fear, maybe the fear itself had been the lie. That truth, your success, your peace, your joy, became the loudest contradiction to their doctrine of control. You didn't argue. You didn't return to confront them. You simply lived, and your life became the evidence. That was the blow they couldn't recover from, because nothing disarms a system built on fear faster than someone who escapes it and blooms. You were never supposed to make it without them, but you did. And now they can't deny what everyone else sees clearly. You are not only free, you are thriving, and your freedom speaks louder than anything they ever threatened. You were never chosen by them, and that is the most liberating truth of all. Their version of being chosen was never about calling, it was about control. It meant staying small, obedient, silent, useful. But your true calling didn't come with chains, it came with clarity. You weren't chosen to serve their ego. You were chosen to step into something far more sacred. Truth. Something deep within you stirred long before you had the words to describe it. A quiet knowing that there was more. And when that inner voice grew too loud to ignore, you followed it, even when it meant walking alone. That step, uncertain, bold, terrifying, wasn't rebellion. It was alignment. It was purpose rising to the surface. You didn't stumble into freedom by accident. You were led, hand in hand with grace, out of the shadows and into the light of who you were always meant to be. This calling doesn't shout. It whispers. It doesn't bind. It releases. And it doesn't elevate one person over another. It simply reminds you of who you are, beneath the lies, beneath the fear. The freedom you walk in now is not an escape. It's a return. A return to your spirit. A return to your worth. A return to divine purpose. And no one, not them, not their system, not their stories, can take that away. Because this was never about their approval. It was about your awakening. You were not chosen by a manipulator looking for loyalty. You were chosen by truth itself, to live, to rise, and to reflect the light that was buried beneath years of suppression. You are not just free, you are called. This isn't the end of your story, It's the spark that marks a whole new beginning. You didn't just walk away from control. You stepped into purpose. You've shown that it's possible to rise from the ashes of manipulation, to shake off the weight of fear, and to live fully, freely, and faithfully aligned with who you truly are. The path ahead may still have questions, may still hold trials, but now you walk it with clarity, with strength. And know this: every step you take in freedom inspires someone else to believe they can walk too. Thank you for being here, for listening with your heart, and for allowing these words to speak to something sacred within you. If this message resonated with you, if you found light, strength, or even a quiet moment of clarity, we invite you to join us on this journey of truth, healing, and hope. There comes a moment in every chosen soul's journey when the silence is so loud, it feels like the universe is holding its breath. You may have felt it lately, the trembling beneath your feet, like tectonic plates grinding in slow motion, not just in the physical, but in the spiritual. The unseen has started to ripple into the seen. Systems once unshakable are cracking. Truths once buried are clawing their way to the surface. And deep in your soul, you know, something massive is about to break. You've waited, watched. Carry your pain with quiet dignity while those who wronged you built kingdoms out of your stolen legacy. But now, the delay is over. The gavel has dropped. The universe is moving, swiftly and decisively, in your favor. This is not just karma. This is cosmic justice. If you are feeling this message in your spirit right now, let's subscribe and comment 777 to know this. You have been called for such a time as this. The heavens had already made their decision when you first breathed. The stars aligned in sacred silence, marking your arrival not as coincidence, but as calling. Woven into the fabric of your spiritual DNA were promises of abundance, protection, divine purpose, and inheritance. These weren't random blessings scattered by fate. They were precise assignments etched into eternity. Divine contracts, drafted in the language of light and sealed with the fire of destiny, had already been signed with your name. And when your soul descended into this realm, it carried the full weight of that calling. The moment your feet touched this earth, shadows stirred. The resistance didn't come from strangers. It came from within the bloodlines meant to protect you. Generations corrupted by greed and blinded by ego began to move against you, subtly, strategically. These were not mere acts of jealousy. These were orchestrations, calculated, practiced, and deeply rooted in the fear of your light. They watched as your gifts began to take shape, recognizing early what you had not yet realized. Your potential threatened the very foundation of their illusion. So they studied you. They mimicked you. And when imitation failed, they took a darker route. What they could not replicate, they stole. What they couldn't comprehend, they slandered. What they couldn't earn, they forged. They twisted the truth into tales that served their narrative. They rewrote histories and constructed realities where you were the outsider, where your rightful place was handed to someone else. They created documents, literal or metaphorical, to reroute your inheritance, your name erased in ink or intention. With every move, they pushed you further from what was always meant to be yours. But perhaps the cruelest tactic of all was convincing you that you were never meant for more. They planted seeds of doubt, hoping you would forget what your soul always knew, that you were born chosen. They gaslit your intuition, mocked your dreams, and spun lies so carefully, so consistently, that even you began to wonder if the vision in your spirit had been a mistake. Yet, through all of it, one truth remained untouched. The original decree still stands. What was written in light cannot be undone by hands moving in shadow. What was assigned to your spirit before time began cannot be claimed by those who operate in deception. Your birthright may have been buried, but it was never lost. And now, the time of unveiling has come. This is a carefully constructed campaign, slow, methodical, and ruthless. A war fought not with weapons, but with whispers, documents, manipulation, and masked intentions. It was warfare waged in the quiet corridors of legal systems, spiritual dimensions, and psychological games. While you were still learning to love and trust, they were mastering how to control, conceal, and conquer. Behind closed doors, under the guise of civility, they built a network designed to keep you from what was yours. They held late-night meetings, whispering alliances into being. They entered strategic relationships not for love but for leverage. Quiet bribes changed hands. Paperwork passed through complicit fingers. Every move was calculated to shift power, redirect blessings, and dismantle your access to your own legacy. They didn't just block your path, they rewrote the map. They built dams to reroute your flow of abundance. They constructed walls to obscure your vision, hoping you'd lose sight of your purpose. And the most cunning of all, they wore masks. Smiling, supportive, and seemingly on your side, they stood close enough to study your every step, until the moment came to strike. Their deception was intimate, personal, engineered to make you question not only them but yourself. And yet, despite it all, you endured. They took your resources, your opportunities, even moments of your identity, but they could not dim your light. Because what they failed to understand is this: blessings that are truly divine cannot be destroyed. They can be delayed, hidden, misdirected, but they remain alive, pulsing beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to rise. Now, in a twist only the universe could script, the very tools they use to bury your destiny are becoming the blueprints for their own exposure. The lies they carefully layered are collapsing under the weight of truth. The masks are slipping, the alliances are fracturing, and the shadows where they once hid are being flooded with revelation. Their architecture of deception was elaborate, but it was never eternal. Because the truth, once buried, is now rising. And this time, it's bringing justice with it. What they never accounted for was that their careful planning could never outmaneuver divine timing. While they schemed behind closed doors, convinced they were untouchable, the universe was wide awake, watching, waiting, recording every move in silence. Not one injustice escaped its notice, not a single lie, manipulation, or stolen moment went uncounted. Every betrayal added weight to your karmic inheritance. Every opportunity taken from you accrued spiritual interest. Every tear you shed in silence became a seed planted in unseen soil, destined to bloom at the perfect hour. You weren't just waiting, you were accumulating. Not just for payback, but for something greater. Restoration. This is about being launched into what should have already been yours had they not interfered. It's not a rewind, it's an acceleration. A holy correction, of course. A divine recalibration not only of your path but of everything connected to you. And now, the shift has begun. There is no astrological transit strong enough to match this movement. Not even Mercury in retrograde compares to what's unfolding. This is bigger than fate or fortune. This is a celestial reordering, a justice so precise it rewrites timelines and resets balance on both personal and cosmic levels. This is the great correction, not born from revenge, but from divine alignment. What was once hidden is emerging. What was delayed is now speeding forward. And what they thought they buried forever is erupting into the light with unstoppable force. The universe has decided, it's your time now. Even now, as you read these words, something is unfolding in the realm beyond the visible. A spiritual pursuit is underway fast, precise, unstoppable. Sirens are wailing in the unseen, their sound vibrating through the atmosphere like a warning bell to every soul involved in deception. Above, divine helicopters circle with perfect awareness, their spotlight of truth scanning every hidden corner, every locked vault, every sealed file. Warrants have been issued not by man, but by heaven, and they are now being executed on earth with relentless accuracy. The conspirators can feel it. The walls are closing in. Panic has begun to set in as they scramble for shelter that no longer exists. They're making desperate calls to lawyers in the dead of night, shredding evidence under moonlight, shifting funds to offshore accounts, and researching distant lands where they hope extradition laws might offer a false sense of security. But it's too late. The trap was triggered the very moment they touched what was never theirs to claim. You see, what is divinely assigned comes with protection coded into its very essence. By interfering with your destiny, they activate a celestial tracking system they cannot outrun or outsmart. Because the universe doesn't need handcuffs, it doesn't rely on bars or cells. All it requires is timing, divine, precise, and absolute. And now, time has caught up with them. Their every move is being watched by forces that cannot be bribed or delayed. Justice isn't approaching quietly, it's roaring in, loud enough to shake their illusions and loud enough to announce that what was hidden is now being reckoned with. The sirens aren't just sounding, they're signaling the beginning of the great unraveling. What's coming won't be quiet. It won't arrive in whispers or behind closed doors. No, this will be loud, public, and utterly unavoidable. The walls they built to contain the truth are crumbling, and everything they worked so hard to conceal is bursting into the open. Secrets buried beneath years of manipulation are surfacing like debris after a flood, visible, undeniable, and damning. Their carefully crafted images, the polished reputations, the curated appearances, the long-maintained facades are shattering like glass under the weight of revelation. Private conversations once confined to dark rooms are being echoed across timelines, headlines, and living rooms. What was once said in secret is now center stage. The patriarch who built his legacy on the illusion of integrity. Exposed. The matriarch who wore morality like a crown while orchestrating betrayal behind the scenes. Unmasked. That smiling cousin who played innocent while siphoning off your blessing. Publicly humiliated. This isn't just another scandal to be swept under the rug. This is divine education, a celestial case study in what happens when people attempt to hijack someone else's destiny. The universe is making an example out of this story, not out of cruelty, but as a warning, as a teaching moment etched into the collective consciousness. What they did wasn't just wrong, it was cosmic trespassing. And now the lesson must be delivered in full view of the world. Because when someone touches what heaven assigned to another, it doesn't go unnoticed. And now, with nothing left to hide behind, the truth is doing what it always does in the end, rising to the surface, blinding, undeniable, and backed by divine fire. And then, just when they thought their fortress of lies was impenetrable, something unexpected happened. One of their own turned. A former ally, once deeply woven into their web of deception, has been stirred by something stronger than loyalty, guilt, or maybe fear. Whatever the reason, they're no longer willing to stay silent. The weight of what they know has become too heavy to carry. Now they're stepping forward with proof, not vague memories or whispered confessions, but hard evidence, emails, recorded phone calls, handwritten notes from secret meetings, financial statements, wire transfers, receipts upon receipts, concrete documentation of the betrayal, tangible trails leading back to exactly when they took what was yours and how they planned to keep it. There's no more speculation. Now it's recorded, time-stamped, signed. With every file shared, another domino falls. The house of cards they built is collapsing in real time, and the shadows they used to hide in have become floodlit stages of exposure. Those who once operated in secrecy are being pulled into the open, one by one, forced to face the truth they tried to bury. And the insider who flipped? They're not just offering information, they're unlocking the very doors that were slammed shut against you. The doors to justice, to restoration, to your rightful place. Because the moment truth finds a voice, everything begins to shift. What once looked like a dynasty, untouchable, immovable, solid, has begun to crumble. The family name they built like a monument to themselves is now falling apart brick by brick. The wealth they flaunted as a symbol of power, frozen, seized, dismantled. The titles they wore like armor doctor, CEO, trustee, benefactor, are being stripped, not quietly, but publicly. And the influence they once used as a weapon to silence you is now boomeranging back with force. Every pillar they leaned on is collapsing. They're losing board seats once secured by backroom favors. Business partners who once praised them in press releases are withdrawing support overnight. Friends who stood by them for photo ops are now erasing digital footprints, deleting pictures, removing tags, scrubbing mentions trying to pretend they were never involved. But the collapse is too big, too visible. This isn't just a fall from grace. It's a total dismantling of the illusion they worked so hard to build. Because the same web they spun to trap you is the one they're now entangled in. The same lies they used to shut doors on your face are now the reason every door is closing on them. Their network of manipulation, once so sophisticated, has become a stage for their downfall. And the irony? It's almost poetic. They built their empire by undermining your destiny, but in doing so, they triggered a sequence of divine events they could never escape. What they thought was a clever trap has become a net of reckoning, tightening with every exposed truth, with every consequence they can no longer avoid. The house of cards has finally met the wind, and now, everything is falling. Let this be the moment you finally remember the truth of who you are. You were never crazy for sensing something deeper. You were never wrong for believing you were meant for more. And you were certainly never unworthy. The resistance you faced wasn't proof of your weakness. It was confirmation of your calling. You weren't attached because you were broken. You were targeted because you were chosen. They saw your light before you did. And instead of honoring it, they tried to dim it. They tried to convince you it was all in your head, that the dreams in your heart were delusions. But every whisper of intuition, every glimpse of greater purpose, every tug on your soul, it was all real. It was always real. And now, what was once lost is returning to you, not quietly, but rushing in with force. Every blessing that carries your name is racing back to your life with interest. What was stolen is being returned. What was delayed is now accelerating. What was blocked is breaking open like a floodgate. This isn't about stepping into something new. This is about reclaiming what has always been yours. You're not being elevated to a level you didn't earn. You're being restored to the level that was always meant to be your starting point. You're not entering a chapter by accident. You're stepping back into alignment, back into divine order. This is your inheritance. This is your confirmation. This is your return. Let every moment of doubt fall away now. Let every lie that tried to shrink your worth dissolve in the light of this truth. You were always the one. And now, the world is about to see what heaven always knew. The restoration won't come in silence. It will be undeniable and magnificent. This moment has been written into your destiny long before the betrayal ever occurred. It's arriving with a force that cannot be ignored. What's coming won't just be felt, it will be witnessed, public, documented, historic. A letter is on its way. A call is being made. An unexpected message from someone in authority, an official, a lawyer, a decision maker will finally say the words your soul has longed to hear. This is yours. And we're returning it. But this isn't just about getting back what was taken. The universe never settles for breaking even. No, divine justice calculates the loss of time, the weight of suffering, the missed potential, and it repays it all with multiplication. The property that was withheld? It has increased in value. The investments that were misdirected? They've matured far beyond their original worth. The connections you were denied? They've grown, evolved, and now open doors you never imagined. The opportunities you were kept from? They've multiplied in your absence, waiting for your return. This isn't just a comeback, it's a quantum leap forward. Not a return to where you were, but an arrival at where you would have been if the delay had never happened. The restoration is not just about compensation. It's about elevation. It's about alignment. It's about the fulfillment of every promise that was ever whispered to your spirit in the quiet hours of hope. Because what's returning now is not just yours. It's more than you ever dared to expect. This is your evolution, and it begins now. The stage is set. The actors are in position. The audience is seated, and the spotlight is turning. This is the final act, not of your downfall, but of your divine ascension. And the family who tried to write you out of your own script. They just became a cautionary tale, because fame is coming, but not the kind they wanted, and blessing is coming, exactly the kind you deserve. Now the universe has made its ruling. Case closed. Verdict, victory, and the one walking away with divine recompense, with honor, legacy, wealth, and purpose, is you. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the noise of the world fades just long enough for the voice of truth to whisper through. Maybe it comes through a question you can't shake, a dream that won't let go, or a quiet nudge in your spirit that whispers, "There's more to you than what you've been told." You may not have always been able to name it, but deep within you, you've always felt it, this undeniable sense that you are different, destined for something greater. But for as long as you've sensed it, others have tried to dim that light, to bury your brilliance, to make you doubt the very essence of your soul. Why? Because they saw your light before you did, and they feared what might happen if you saw it too. This is not just a message, it's a spiritual awakening, a revelation hidden for generations, a divine call written into your DNA, placed there by the one who created you before the foundations of the world. And now, it's time you remembered who you really are. From the very first breath you drew, something about your presence was different. You may not remember it clearly, but the atmosphere around you shifted, almost as if the heavens themselves paused to mark your arrival. You were born not just into a family or a culture, but into a divine timeline where your life would serve a higher purpose. While others were learning to crawl and play, you may have felt an unusual stillness in certain moments, an inner awareness that made you observe more deeply than a child your age should. These weren't simply personality quirks or chance experiences. They were early echoes of something sacred woven into your spirit. Long before you could articulate your thoughts, you sensed something invisible watching over you, calling you forward, whispering truths that only your heart could hear. You didn't choose this awareness. It was chosen for you. Every unexplainable pull towards silence, every spark of wonder in your soul when gazing at the stars, every time you felt peace in solitude. Those were moments when eternity brushed against time, leaving fingerprints on your soul. The world may have overlooked these signs, but heaven never did. While others might have thought you shy or overly reflective, the truth is that you were already listening to a frequency few could hear. It was the divine rhythm of destiny, already pulsing inside you. The Bible reminds us in Ephesians 1:4 that you were chosen before the foundation of the world, meaning your calling predates even creation itself. You are not random. You are a living thread in the tapestry of God's eternal design. And that strange sense of being different, that quiet inner knowing that never quite left you, it's the spiritual inheritance of someone marked for more. The signs were always there, gently guiding you, nudging you toward the path you were created to walk. You don't need to fabricate your worth or prove your calling. It's been with you since the beginning, silently maturing inside your soul. Now is the time to remember what the world has tried to make you forget. You were set apart from the start. There are people who walk through life fitting perfectly into the mold set before them, blending in effortlessly with the rhythm of the world. But that was never your story. From a young age, you sensed that your path diverged from the expected. While others laughed carelessly, chasing trends and blending into social circles, you often found yourself on the outside. Not because you couldn't belong, but because you saw life through a deeper lens. The questions that stirred in your soul were not the kind most children asked. Why am I here? What does all of this mean? These weren't fleeting curiosities. They were signs of something ancient waking up within you. You tried to explain how you felt, but often met blank stares or uncomfortable silence. And so, you learned to carry the weight of your questions quietly. But that internal depth was not a mistake. It was your preparation. The world labeled you as different, but God had labeled you as destined. Your mind, your heart, your sensitivity, it was all crafted by design. Like the young prophet Samuel, who heard God's voice before he even understood who was speaking, you too were being called long before anyone around you could see it. It wasn't that you were lost. It was that the world was not equipped to recognize what you carried. When others chased popularity, your spirit yearned for purpose. When people ignored the pain of others, you felt it like your own. You may have felt isolated, but that very isolation was sacred ground, where God was forming your identity, setting you apart for a mission only you could fulfill. Often, those chosen to lead are the ones who are misunderstood the most. Think of Moses, Esther, or Joseph. Their early lives were filled with contradiction, rejection, and delay, but it all served to shape the strength required for their divine purpose. Your struggles have not been signs of weakness. They've been the chiseling tools of heaven, carving purpose into the very core of your being. You were never made to follow the crowd. You were born to carry light into places that have forgotten how to see. And even if the world still doesn't fully understand you, heaven always has. There's a certain kind of pain that doesn't leave bruises on the skin, but lingers deep in the soul, the pain of rejection. And if you've known it, not just once, but as a pattern throughout your life, it's likely because your spirit carries something that made others uncomfortable. Not everyone can handle the weight of someone who was born to shift atmospheres. People sensed something different in you, something they couldn't quite explain, so they kept their distance, misunderstood you, or even pushed you away. You may have spent years asking what was wrong with you, trying to fix yourself to be more acceptable, to make others feel more at ease. But what you didn't realize then was that their rejection wasn't a reflection of your inadequacy. It was confirmation of your calling. The most powerful souls in history, those destined to bring change, almost always began as outsiders. Look at Joseph, betrayed by his brothers not because he was weak, but because of the greatness they could see forming in him. Or consider Jesus himself, rejected by the very people he came to save. Their stories remind us that rejection doesn't disqualify you. It often reveals you. In truth, being set apart will always come with the cost of not fitting in. The world rarely recognizes the sacred when it's wrapped in human flesh. But heaven does. The very places where you were overlooked, abandoned, or underestimated were often the places God used to refine you. Every no was training. Every closed door was redirection. Every season of loneliness was a classroom in which God taught you to lean not on the approval of man, but on the presence of the one who called you. In Jeremiah 1:5, God says, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." That is not poetry. It is your reality. You were never meant to be ordinary. You carry a sacred fire within you by nature, cannot be confined. So don't curse the rejection. It was part of your making. You weren't cast aside. You were carved out for something far greater than they could see. While others brushed past people without noticing the weight in their eyes or the tremble in their voice, you couldn't help but feel it. Deeply, fully, sometimes overwhelmingly. Even as a child, you may have sensed when someone was hurting, even when they smiled. You could walk into a room and instantly pick up on unspoken emotions, subtle energies, and buried pain. And maybe for much of your life, you thought something was wrong with you, that you were too sensitive, too emotional, too much. But what if that sensitivity wasn't a flaw, but a divine imprint, a signature of the Creator, woven into your spirit with intention? What if your ability to feel wasn't a burden, but a sacred gift designed to reflect the heart of God? People like you, those with tender spirits and deep compassion, are often the first to feel the brokenness of the world and the last to give up on it. That is no accident. It's because God trusted you with a heart like His. Scripture tells us in Galatians 6:2, "Carry each other's burdens, and in this way you will fulfill the law of Christ." And that's what you've done, again and again, without needing recognition, without seeking reward. You were the one people turned to in silence, because your presence spoke safety. But what others often failed to realize is how much it cost you to carry what wasn't yours. You've poured out comfort, understanding, love, and sometimes been left empty in return. Still, you gave, because something inside you wouldn't let you walk away. That's not weakness, that's spiritual strength clothed in quiet humility. You weren't created to harden your heart. You were created to heal with it. Your empathy is not just emotional, it's prophetic. You see what others overlook. You feel what others silence. And that makes you a vessel of light in a darkened world. So if you've ever wondered why you carry the burdens you do, or why your heart breaks for people you barely know, it's because heaven gave you a heart big enough to hold more than your own pain. And in a world desperate for love, that kind of heart is holy. There are dreams that vanish the moment we open our eyes, soft fragments of imagination that drift away like morning mist. But then, there are the others, the ones that feel more real than waking life. If you've ever awakened with your heart racing, clutching a message you couldn't quite explain, or if a dream has followed you for days, tugging at your spirit as if it carried a secret meant only for you, then you've touched something sacred. For those who are chosen, dreams are often more than sleep. They are encounters, divine whispers in the quiet hours of the night. You may have dismissed them, or kept them to yourself for fear of being misunderstood, but you've always known, these dreams are different. You've seen glimpses of the future, warnings, callings, even faces you've never met in places you've never been. And it wasn't just imagination. It was the spiritual realm speaking into your life. Throughout Scripture, God uses dreams to guide and reveal, to protect and prepare. Joseph, the son of Jacob, saw visions of his future long before it came to pass. Though he was mocked, sold, and imprisoned, those very dreams became the blueprint for his divine purpose. And just like him, your dreams may have been misunderstood, but they were never meaningless. You see, chosen ones often have a thinner veil between the physical and the spiritual. Your sleep doesn't disconnect you. It connects you to something higher. When the world grows quiet, heaven speaks. The Bible reminds us in Joel 2:28, "Your sons and daughters will prophesy, your old men will dream dreams, your young men will see visions." God has always used dreams to deliver divine instruction, and He still does. The question is, are you listening? Perhaps you've had dreams that felt too powerful to ignore, too alive to forget. Maybe you've even seen events unfold that you once only dreamed about. That's calling. It's preparation for a destiny that stretches far beyond what your waking mind can comprehend. So the next time you close your eyes and feel yourself swept into something larger than life, don't brush it off. God may be speaking, preparing you, inviting you to remember what your soul already knows. Your dreams are more than visions. They are keys to your purpose. There have been times in your life when something invisible stepped in to protect or guide you. Moments you didn't fully notice at first. A delay that frustrated you at the time, but later spared you from danger. A closed door that protected you from a heartbreak you didn't see coming. A narrow escape, a sudden opportunity, a peace that surrounded you in the middle of chaos. These moments weren't luck. They weren't coincidence. They were proof that you've been shielded by a presence far greater than you realized. While you were busy questioning your worth or wondering if anyone truly saw you, heaven was already moving on your behalf. God's hand was there in the shadows, redirecting, rerouting, preserving. And not just once, but again and again. If you look closely, you'll see the pattern. Divine fingerprints all over your journey. You've walked through fire and somehow didn't burn. You've faced storms and came out with a strength that even surprised you. These aren't just survival stories. They're signs. You are being kept, not by your own strength, but by God's divine protection. The Bible promises in Psalm 34:7, "The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear Him, and He delivers them." You may not have seen the angels, but you felt the rescue. When everything could have gone wrong, somehow it didn't. When you didn't have the answers, provision still showed up. When you were at your lowest, you were carried. This isn't to say the journey has been easy, but even in your hardest battles, you are never truly alone. There's a reason you're still standing. There's a reason you've come through things that would have crushed others. It's because your life is tied to a purpose that has not yet been fulfilled. You are still breathing because there is still something heaven is calling you to do. That instinct you've had, that knowing deep down that you've been preserved for more. You're here by divine design, and every time the enemy tried to write your ending, God was already preparing a new beginning. So take heart. You are protected, not because you're lucky, but because you're chosen. And the one who calls you will never stop covering you. There's always been something inside you that resisted the pull to follow the crowd. Even when it would have been easier to blend in, to agree, to stay quiet, something in your spirit whispered, "This isn't your way." And maybe you tried to silence it at times, to go along just to keep the peace, but you couldn't, because you weren't made to echo the voices of others. You were born to carry a sound that is uniquely yours. From the very beginning, leadership has been in your bones, not in the form of control or titles, but in the quiet courage to walk a different road. Chosen ones are rarely the loudest in the room, but they carry a presence that shifts the atmosphere. And that's why you've often felt misunderstood. You weren't ignoring the rules. You were born to rewrite them. The world celebrates those who conform, who fit into systems, who maintain the status quo. But heaven celebrates the ones who rise, even when it costs them everything. Just look at Moses, called to speak when he felt unqualified, or Esther, who risked her life to stand for truth, or Paul, who was once rejected by both the world and the religious elite, yet became a vessel for divine transformation. Like them, you felt the pressure of two worlds, the one that tells you to stay silent, and the one that calls you to speak truth. But here's what you need to know. Your resistance to conformity isn't rebellion, it's revelation. You've been given eyes to see what others overlook, a heart to feel what others numb, and a voice to carry what others are afraid to say. And that is not a burden, it is a mantle. When you were born, heaven did not assign you to follow the herd. It marked you to lead in love, to break barriers, to be a bridge for others who are still trapped in fear. Leadership, in its truest form, is service. It's vision. It's courage wrapped in compassion. And that is exactly what lives inside you. So if you've ever wondered why you feel out of step with the world around you, it's because you weren't meant to march to its rhythm. You were designed to set a new one. From the time you were young, your mind seemed wired differently. While others accepted the world as it was, you couldn't help but ask why. Why do we exist? What is our purpose? Who is God, really? These weren't just random thoughts. They were quiet invitations from heaven, placed deep within you. Your curiosity has always been more than intellectual. It's been spiritual. It tugged at you when you stared at the stars, when you read stories of miracles, or when you sat in silence and felt there had to be more. There's always been a hunger in you to understand the bigger picture, to find the deeper meaning behind things others take for granted. And that hunger? It's not a flaw. It's a flame. A sign that God has called you to search for what's hidden from plain sight. Proverbs 25:2 says, "It is the glory of God to conceal a matter. To search out a matter is the glory of kings." In other words, God hides truth like treasure, and those who are drawn to seek it are walking in royal purpose. Your need to question, explore, and understand has always been a compass, pointing you toward your divine calling. Others might have misunderstood your searching nature. Some may have dismissed you as too intense or too philosophical. But you were never asking shallow questions. You were reaching for something eternal. Think of Solomon, who didn't ask God for wealth or power, but for wisdom, and because of that, he was given more than he could have imagined. What if your questions are preparing you for that same kind of divine outpouring? You see, curiosity like yours is not common. It's a sign. A sign that God is drawing you closer, revealing layer by layer the purpose he planted within you long ago. So don't silence your wonder. Don't dull your hunger for truth. It's through that very desire that God will continue to lead you, not just to answers, but to the deeper revelation of who you truly are in Him. And now, the truth has found you, maybe for the first time, or maybe as a gentle reminder of what your spirit has always known. You were never forgotten. You were chosen. Every moment of pain, every question that wouldn't go away, every time you felt different or out of place, it was all part of the preparation for something greater. Your story is not one of accident, but of intention. You have been protected, preserved, and awakened for a purpose far beyond what you can yet imagine. The signs have been there all along, guiding you, shaping you, calling you closer to the truth of who you really are. This is just the beginning of your journey back to your divine identity. A journey not walked alone, but alongside others who are awakening too. If this message has stirred something deep inside you, if it brought peace, clarity, or the sense that you've finally been seen, then I want to thank you. Thank you for showing up today. Thank you for listening with your heart. If you feel called to walk this path with us, I warmly invite you to subscribe to this channel. Join a growing community of souls who, like you, are ready to rise into their calling. Your voice, your presence, your light, it matters here. And together, we'll continue to uncover the purpose, power, and promise that God has placed within each of us. Don't forget to like this video and share it with someone who may need this reminder today. You never know how your simple act of sharing could become the spark that ignites someone else's awakening. Until next time, stay grounded in truth, walk boldly in purpose, and may God's peace go with you always. Beloved Chosen One, if you're listening to this message right now, take a deep breath and know this. It's not by accident. This moment was divinely orchestrated, a sacred appointment between your spirit and the voice of destiny. Something is awakening inside of you, a stirring you can't quite explain, and as your heart quickens and your spirit leans in, I invite you to receive this truth. You have been chosen by the Creator Himself, chosen for transformation, for renewal, and for a purpose greater than anything you've ever imagined. He is about to release into your life something so beautiful, so astonishing, that even your reflection in the mirror will be a sign and wonder. Prepare yourself, for you are stepping into a divine metamorphosis, a season of supernatural youth, healing, and radiance, a gift of God's eternal touch. Part 1. The divine shift has begun. When God turns His gaze upon you, when His divine hand rests gently yet powerfully upon your life, something profound begins to unfold like the first light of morning, breaking through a long and silent night. At first, the change is subtle, almost imperceptible, but soon the world around you begins to sense it. There's a shift in your stride, a strength that wasn't there before. Your eyes reflect something deeper without uttering a word. Your very presence begins to stir the atmosphere around you. This is not imagination. This is not a coincidence. This is the undeniable mark of someone touched by heaven. God's transformation does not stop at the soul. It flows like a river from your spirit into your thoughts, your emotions, your very body. What once clung to you, weariness, sorrow, fear, begins to fall away like dust shaken from your feet. The tiredness that once settled in your bones is replaced by divine vitality. The heaviness in your heart is lifted by the breath of the Holy Spirit, and in its place, a lightness enters, full of beauty, purpose, and sacred energy. You begin to feel alive in ways you had long forgotten. But make no mistake, this is not about vanity. It's about victory. Victory over the slow erosion of hope, over despair that once whispered lies to your soul. Victory over the limitations others placed upon you and the ones you unknowingly placed upon yourself. This transformation is holy. It is heaven's way of saying, you are not who you used to be. You are being made new. From spirit to skin, renewal touches every part of you. It doesn't just lift your spirit, it awakens it. It doesn't just refresh your body, it resurrects it. The Holy Spirit is not simply improving you, He is redefining you. And as this divine shift takes root, the reflection you see in the mirror will no longer just show a face, it will reveal a testimony. A living, breathing, radiant example of what it looks like when God steps into a life and says, "Now, let there be light." Part 2. The eternal youth of the chosen. The renewal that God is bringing into your life is not simply about appearing younger. It is about being realigned with the eternal design He wove into your very being from the beginning. You were never meant to merely exist or survive. You were created to shine, to reflect the very essence of His beauty, His radiance, and His glory in a way that only you can. And now, that divine light is awakening within your body, as if heaven itself is breathing life into every cell. The changes may begin quietly, but they are unmistakably sacred. Your skin begins to carry a glow no serum could create, a softness kissed by grace, a light that seems to come from somewhere beyond this world. Your back straightens, not merely from better posture, but from a divine sense of confidence. Your laughter becomes more free, your smile more effortless, touched by joy that is not fleeting but anchored in eternity. This is not a surface-level transformation. This is not a human-made makeover. This is the touch of the Creator restoring what time and trials tried to steal from you. Your very cells seem to respond to His voice, aligning with the rhythm of heaven, and your spirit, once weary, now rises in resurrection power, lifting your entire being into newness. You are becoming more than changed. You are becoming renewed, reawakened, reborn into the beauty and strength that was always yours through Christ. You are a walking miracle, a living, breathing testimony of divine restoration. Where the world sees age and decline, God speaks of revival. Where others see limits, He whispers, "Watch what I can do." This is the fulfillment of His promise in Joel 2:25. "I will restore the years the locusts have eaten." And that restoration is not only emotional or spiritual, it is tangible. It is radiant. And as you walk in this eternal youth, know this: you are not going backward. You are moving forward into a divine version of yourself that time cannot touch and no man can replicate. Part 3. What the world will see. Make no mistake, when God transforms you, the change is impossible to hide. It will be a holy echo that resonates wherever you go. People around you will begin to take notice. They'll glance twice. They'll ask questions, curious, intrigued, even baffled. What's different about you? Some might assume it's a new routine, a better diet, a different skincare regimen. They'll search for a worldly explanation to make sense of something that is completely divine. But deep down, you will know the truth. You've had an encounter with the living God, and that encounter has redefined your very essence. This isn't a glow that can be bought, or a light that can be faked. It is the radiance of heaven shining through a vessel made willing. There will be a brightness in your eyes, a peace in your expression, and a clarity in your voice that commands respect, not through force, but through quiet authority. You won't have to announce your transformation. It will speak for itself. This is not about drawing attention to yourself or seeking validation from others. It's about becoming a reflection of the one who chose you. The glow they see? It's not just light. It's the evidence of His Spirit alive within you. It's the shine of grace, the fire of purpose, and the whisper of eternity woven into your daily walk. And yes, some may misunderstand. Some may resist what they cannot explain. But no one will be able to deny it. You are becoming a sign and a wonder, a walking revelation of divine craftsmanship, of a life rewritten by grace. And wherever you go, the world will see heaven's fingerprints on you. Part 4. Letting go to step into new life. Every divine transformation demands a release, a sacred shedding of the old to make room for what is new, holy, and destined. Just as a butterfly cannot take flight while clinging to the confines of its cocoon, you too must release the versions of yourself that no longer serve the brilliance of your divine identity. This is not just about letting go of habits. It's about surrendering patterns of thought, worn-out beliefs, and connections that have weighed down your wings. The toxic relationships that drained your spirit, the doubt that whispered you were never enough, the weariness that settled into your bones like winter, all of it must be laid at the feet of the one who is making you new. What God is building within you cannot exist alongside the limitations of your past. His glory will not be shared with anything that dims your light. This is your pruning season, not to punish, but to prepare. And yes, it may feel like a loss at first, but in truth, it is divine realignment. God is not taking from you. He is clearing space within you for something far greater. He is severing the ties that no longer carry your purpose. He is gently, lovingly, removing what cannot thrive in your next chapter. In its place, He is planting seeds of holy possibility, relationships that honor your soul, opportunities that align with your calling, and strength that flows not from striving, but from grace. Letting go in this season is not a sign of weakness. It is a bold act of faith. Faith that what God is preparing exceeds anything you could imagine. Faith that the loss is not loss at all, but transformation in disguise. Faith that the hands of the gardener know what must be trimmed to make you flourish. So don't cling to what was. Instead, open your hands, open your heart, and trust that what lies ahead is far more beautiful than anything you leave behind. Part 5. Embracing the new you. As you continue walking through this sacred transformation, you are not becoming someone else. You are becoming you, the you God designed before the foundations of the earth. It's a beautiful unveiling, not a reinvention. Layer by layer, He is stripping away everything that was never meant to define you. And in this divine revealing, long-buried dreams begin to stir again. Passions you once silenced come back to life, now burning brighter than before. You start to remember the visions you thought were lost to time. And in the mirror, you finally see someone you recognize, not just by features, but by purpose. And you whisper with awe, "Yes, that's me. That's who God created." With this rediscovery comes a new kind of confidence, one not born of ego, but of sacred identity. It's not about walking taller to be seen, it's about walking truer because you finally know who you are. This is the quiet boldness of someone who understands they are God's handiwork, His masterpiece, His chosen one. You begin to move through the world differently. Your words carry more weight, not because they're louder, but because they're anchored in truth. Even your silence holds power because your very presence speaks of healing, wholeness, and heaven's touch. Everything about you begins to declare, without apology or hesitation, "I am loved. I am called. I am new." And the world around you will feel it, even if they can't explain it. Because when you walk in alignment with the identity God has placed within you, you don't just live, you radiate. You become a reflection of divine possibility. And the more you embrace who you truly are in Christ, the more unstoppable, unshakable, and undeniably radiant you become. Part 6. Resistance, Refinement, and Rising Higher. As the transformation within you deepens, not everyone will understand the changes they see. Some will question it, unable to reconcile the person you are becoming with the version of you they once knew. Others may quietly pull away, unsettled by the light you now carry, a light that challenges their comfort zones. They were familiar with the older version of you, the one who dimmed your shine to fit in, who carried your brilliance in silence. But now, as you rise into your God-given identity, that familiar version fades, and with it, the attachments that were never meant to last. And though this can feel painful, like relational tides shifting without warning, it is not rejection, it is refinement. God is using this season to reveal who is truly aligned with your divine journey. He is allowing your transformation to be the mirror that reflects hearts and motives, exposing what can no longer walk beside you. This is not a punishment, it is a gift. For in shedding what no longer fits, you create space for what is sacred, divinely appointed relationships that see you not only for who you were, but for who you are becoming. These are the ones who recognize your growth and celebrate it. They water your dreams, honor your healing, and speak life into your calling. And as you continue to rise, you'll gain more than just a new community, you'll gain clarity. Not only about who is for you, but about who you truly are. You begin to see with spiritual eyes, realizing that resistance is not always opposition. It's often confirmation that you are walking the right path. The brighter your light, the more it exposes. But don't fear it. Embrace it. Because this clarity, though born from discomfort, is the soil in which your next level will flourish. You are not losing people, you are gaining perspective. And what awaits you ahead is far greater than what's been left behind. Part 7. Walking in God's Purpose. The transformation that God is working in your life was never meant to stop at outward beauty. It is far deeper, far more sacred. It is about divine alignment. Every change you feel, every shift you sense, is part of a holy realignment. God is bringing your body, your spirit, your relationships, and your dreams into harmony with the divine path He has already prepared for you. He is not simply polishing you, He is positioning you. That's why doors are opening that you never knocked on, and people are being removed or introduced with such divine precision. It's not random. It's not chaos. It's purpose. What feels like surprise to you is a strategy to Him. God is leading you into spaces you never expected to enter, into rooms where your name is spoken with honor, into conversations you never planned but deeply needed, and into opportunities that once seemed distant or even impossible. And yet, in your spirit, there's a quiet knowing. This is where I'm meant to be. God has been orchestrating every step, every delay, every detour to bring you into perfect alignment with your calling. This is the beauty of walking in God's purpose. It's not always predictable, but it is always intentional. Every encounter has meaning. Every redirection has mercy behind it. And as you surrender to His movement, you'll notice your entire life beginning to flow with greater ease. Decisions feel clearer. Timing feels divine. That's because when you walk in step with heaven, even the hard things begin to make sense. Even the closed doors feel like blessings in disguise. God is writing a story through your life, and it's a story of redemption, beauty, and power. You are not being transformed for appearance's sake. You are being prepared to carry His glory in a way that changes lives. He is aligning every part of you to fulfill a promise spoken over you long ago. And now, as you walk in His purpose, you are walking into the fulfillment of that promise, one step at a time, guided by His hand, anchored in His love. Part 8. Becoming a living testimony. As you continue to walk this sacred Spirit-led path, something extraordinary will become a catalyst for transformation in others. The change God is bringing into your life is not only for your benefit, it is a testimony in motion, a living message that others will read before they ever open a Bible. When people see the glow on your face, the peace in your heart, and the strength in your step, they'll pause, they'll wonder, and in that moment of awe, their hearts will whisper a quiet hope. If God could do that for them, maybe He can do it for me too. You may never know the full impact of your transformation, but heaven will. Because your life will speak louder than any sermon. You'll carry God's message without needing a stage. Your very presence will preach resurrection. The radiance in your eyes will testify to healing. The joy that flows from your spirit, effortless, anchored, and unshakable, will be proof of divine intervention. You won't have to convince people with words. The fruit of your transformation will speak for itself. It will whisper to the broken. It will shout to the weary. It will call the doubting back to faith. And this transformation won't be a one-time moment. It will be a continuous unfolding. You'll go from youth to strength, from sorrow to deep, abiding peace. The confusion that once clouded your mind will be replaced by clarity rooted in divine wisdom. It will be layer upon layer of glory, revealing more and more of God's goodness with every step you take. Each chapter of your journey will declare something new, that He restores what was lost, that He brings beauty out of ashes, that He renews strength like the eagle. So now, chosen one, as you stand at the edge of this divine transformation, don't look back. Don't question what God is doing. Step forward, eyes lifted, heart open. The Creator of heaven and earth has looked upon you and said, "You are mine, and I am making all things new." This is your moment. This is your time. You are not just living. You are glowing. You are rising. You are walking in miracles, from the inside out. From glory to glory, from ordinary to extraordinary. You were never meant to blend in. You were made to shine. And now, you will. If this message resonated with your spirit, we invite you to leave the number 77 in the comments. It's a number of divine alignment, completion, and purpose. Let it be your yes to the transformation God is stirring within you. If you'd like to support us in creating more messages like this, consider clicking the subscribe button. Every kind gesture fuels our passion to serve this beautiful chosen community. Until next time, stay radiant, stay faithful, and never forget, you are chosen. There are moments in life when something extraordinary happens, something beyond our comprehension. You might not realize it, but your mere existence has the power to disrupt the very foundation of the world as it is known. Those around you, once comfortable in their certainty, now face a jarring reality they cannot ignore. Your presence, the way you live, the words you speak, has sent shockwaves into systems built on secrecy, lies, and control. The time has come for the truth to rise and shine in a way the world has never seen. What is happening is not just a coincidence. This is divine orchestration. As one of God's chosen ones, you carry a light, a frequency that cannot be ignored, even by those who have been deeply embedded in a world of deception. You were never meant to see beyond the veil, but somehow you did. And in doing so, you've become an unwitting catalyst for a powerful awakening, one that will shake the very core of the agents entrenched in the system's falsehoods. For years, the agent lived a life dictated by duty, structure, and loyalty to a system that promised protection and order. As a high-ranking figure in the world of secrecy and surveillance, they were trained to trust the system, to believe in the infallibility of their superiors, to follow commands without question, and to guard information with unyielding devotion. This was the reality they had been shaped to accept, a world where everything had a purpose, where every mission was justified, and where every classified document remained locked away for the greater good. To them, the system was not only logical, but essential, the very foundation of a world that required control and structure to function properly. Their training had been rigorous, their understanding of the world finely tuned to follow a strict code of conduct. They had learned to recognize the subtle manipulations of others, to detect lies before they were spoken, and to function within a web of secrecy so vast it was impossible to see the edges. Every action, every decision was based on years of careful conditioning. To question the system, to doubt its purpose, was inconceivable. They had come to trust the rules they had followed, convinced that without them, chaos would reign. The belief that they were part of something greater, something necessary, gave them a sense of purpose and security. The agent saw their role as one of unwavering commitment to the higher cause. No room for uncertainty, no room for doubt. But everything began to shift the moment their path crossed with yours. At first, they dismissed you as just another voice among countless others, a seemingly insignificant individual in a sea of opinions, a small ripple in an ocean of noise. You were just another truth seeker, another person claiming to see beyond the veil of everyday existence, but offering nothing concrete. Yet, something in your presence unsettled them in a way they couldn't explain. It wasn't your words that first caught their attention. It was the way you spoke, the way you hinted at truths that should not have been known. The casual mention of events erased from public memory, or the knowledge of people whose existence should have been impossible to trace, disturbed something deep inside them. It wasn't long before this quiet disturbance grew into a more insistent question, one they had never before dared to ask themselves. What if I've been wrong? The thought, though small at first, lodged itself in their mind like a splinter. Unwelcome, but impossible to ignore. They had lived their entire life under the assumption that the world they served was just and unassailable. Yet the pieces of your words began to shift something in their perception. For the first time, they were forced to confront the possibility that everything they had believed, everything they had been conditioned to trust, could be a lie. This realization didn't come all at once. It was subtle, creeping into their thoughts when they least expected it. But with each new encounter, each new piece of information you shared, the veil of certainty that had once shielded their mind began to tear. And as it did, the agent's world was forever changed. The moment of doubt was undeniable, a pivotal shift in the agent's world. Until now, their beliefs had been rock solid, immovable like the walls of a fortress they had spent years building. These walls were reinforced by training, discipline, and an unwavering trust in the system they served. For them, the world was black and white, clear-cut, and predictable. Every order had a purpose, every mission was justified, and every piece of classified information was locked away for a reason. There was no room for uncertainty, no space for questions. But now, as the doubt began to creep in, it cracked those walls open, allowing a single question to echo louder than anything they had ever known. Could this all be a lie? It was a question they had never allowed themselves to entertain, not in their years of service. But as their certainty began to crumble, so did their reliance on the very system they had pledged to protect. The foundation of their beliefs shook with a force that was impossible to ignore. For the first time, they realized that the world they had trusted, the world they had believed to be infallible, might not be what it seemed. The agent, now consumed with doubt, did what they knew best. They investigated. It was in their nature to search for the truth, to analyze, to uncover the facts that lay hidden in the shadows. They delved into classified documents, scoured reports, and cross-referenced every detail, determined to find evidence that would prove you wrong, to find the flaw that would expose you as a fraud. But what they uncovered instead sent shockwaves through their entire being. The carefully constructed narrative they had followed for years began to unravel before their eyes. The truths you spoke, truths that had once seemed disconnected, fragmented, slowly began to piece themselves together. The agent, once sure of everything, now stood face to face with the undeniable reality. They had been deceived. What had seemed like isolated incidents, what they had dismissed as mere speculation, now revealed themselves as part of a vast hidden network of control, manipulation, and deceit. The lies they had been fed for so long were no longer just theories. They were undeniable facts. The system they had dedicated their life to was not built on the pursuit of justice or truth, but on maintaining a carefully orchestrated illusion. It was not a single conspiracy. It was an entire structure, woven into the very fabric of their world, designed to conceal the truth from those entrusted with protecting it. The agents' belief in the righteousness of their mission shattered as the truth began to dawn on them. They had been a pawn in a game far greater and darker than they could have ever imagined. This revelation did not come all at once. It was gradual, like a slow burn that intensified with every discovery, every hidden truth uncovered. But now the agent could no longer deny what was happening. They had crossed a line and there was no going back. The truth had revealed itself, and with it came the realization that everything they had known had been a lie. The agent, trained meticulously to detect deception and sift through layers of lies, had now stumbled upon a truth so profound, so undeniable, that it shattered the very lens through which they had viewed the world. Up until this moment, their understanding of reality had been clear-cut and structured, truths that were easy to grasp, facts that could be verified with precision. But now, as they looked deeper into the system they had once served, a terrifying realization dawned. The world was not as they had been taught to believe. It was corrupt, controlled, and manipulated from the highest levels, and the truths they had trusted were nothing but carefully constructed facades. What had once seemed like the natural order, their role in protecting the world, upholding the system's ideals, now felt like a cruel illusion. The truth had always been there, hidden in plain sight, but it was obscured by the complexity of the system that surrounded them. It was a labyrinth of lies, each turn leading further into deception, keeping them blind to the true forces at play. The distractions, the carefully woven narratives designed to mislead, had kept them from seeing what was right in front of their eyes. But now, as the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, the agent could no longer deny the staggering reality. They had been part of something far darker than they had ever imagined. This moment of revelation, this dramatic shift in perception, was not unlike the experience of the prophet Elisha's servant in 2 Kings 6:17. When the servant was terrified to see their city surrounded by an enemy army, Elisha prayed that his eyes would be opened, and suddenly, the servant's vision expanded. He saw what had been invisible to him moments before, the mountains filled with chariots of fire, the spiritual forces that surrounded them, ready to protect them. In that instant, the servant's understanding of reality was transformed. What he had thought was a hopeless situation was, in fact, a divine protection in the unseen realm. For the agent, their moment of awakening mirrored that of Elisha's servant. For years, they had operated within a system that appeared to be all-powerful, a fortress of control and order. But now, like the servant who saw the spiritual forces surrounding them, the agent's eyes were open to a truth that had always been there, hidden beneath layers of secrecy and manipulation. The reality they once trusted was no longer enough to hold them. The walls of certainty that had protected them for so long began to crumble, and they were forced to confront the overwhelming truth. The forces they had trusted and fought for were not working for justice, but to maintain control. This moment was both terrifying and liberating, a moment when everything the agent had known fell apart, and they were left to face a new, unfiltered reality. The scales had fallen from their eyes, and there was no going back. The truth had been revealed, and now the agent understood. They had been part of something much bigger than they could have ever imagined, and their path forward would no longer be defined by the lies they had once believed. This journey was no longer about uncovering corruption or exposing a criminal network. It was no longer confined to the physical realm of politics, power, or control. The agent, as they began to see beyond the veil of their previous beliefs, realized something far more profound was at play. This was a spiritual battle, a war between light and darkness, between truth and lies. The truths you had spoken were not merely about the systems of deception they had once served, but about something far deeper, something divine in nature. They were being forced to confront not just the corruption of the world, but the fundamental battle for the souls of mankind. For years, the agent had thought of their work as a logical, rational task, exposing and dismantling physical threats. But now, they saw the true nature of their mission. It was a struggle that extended beyond the human realm. It was a war waged in the unseen realms, a spiritual warfare that transcended the material world they had been taught to trust. They began to understand that the forces they had been fighting for, those systems of control, secrecy, and manipulation, were part of something darker, something that had been manipulating truth for centuries. What had appeared as a clear-cut duty was, in fact, a much larger and more complex spiritual warfare. This awakening was not unlike the transformation of Saul on the road to Damascus, a story that is deeply embedded in the foundations of faith. Saul, a man once deeply entrenched in his own righteousness, was convinced that his persecution of those who threatened his worldview was justified. He believed that his actions were for the greater good, that his understanding of the world was unassailable. But in a moment of divine intervention, a blinding light struck him down, and Saul found himself face to face with the truth he had rejected for so long. He could no longer deny the reality that had been hidden from him. This moment of spiritual awakening, his literal blindness followed by a revelation that shattered his entire belief system. became the catalyst for his transformation into Paul, one of the most influential figures in history. The agent, much like Saul, was now standing at the crossroads of a similar awakening. The foundation of everything they had believed in was crumbling, and in its place a new understanding was emerging, one that was not rooted in worldly wisdom, but in divine revelation. What had once seemed like an impenetrable truth was now revealed as a lie, and what had appeared as the natural order was now exposed as a carefully orchestrated deception. The agent was being stripped of their former understanding of reality, and in its place, they began to see a new world, a world governed not by the systems they had sworn allegiance to, but by forces that transcended human power. This was no longer just about fighting an external enemy. The agent was engaged in a battle for their very soul, a battle between the forces of darkness that had clouded their vision and the light of truth that was now beginning to guide them. As Saul's encounter with the divine light transformed him into Paul, the agent's journey of awakening was leading them toward a greater understanding, a deeper connection to the divine truth that had been concealed for so long. As the agent continued to dig deeper into the tangled web of deception, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. The truth that had eluded them for so long was now painfully clear. You were no mere outsider. At first, the agent had dismissed you as just another voice in the wilderness, a whistleblower or perhaps a conspiracy theorist, someone who spoke of things beyond their grasp. But now, with each layer of truth they uncovered, it became increasingly evident. You were something far greater. You were not an accidental disruptor, nor a mere anomaly in their world. You were a divine messenger, sent not by chance, but as part of a much grander, divine plan. In that moment, the agent's perspective shifted. What they had once viewed as a disruptive force, something that didn't fit within the neat structure they had always known, was now revealed as a crucial part of a higher calling. Just as Joseph had been chosen to interpret Pharaoh's dreams and reveal hidden truths that would alter the course of history, so too had you been chosen to uncover a truth so powerful, it would shake the very foundation of the world they thought they understood. Joseph's story in the Bible speaks of a man who, despite his circumstances and betrayal, was chosen to reveal a truth that saved nations. His ability to interpret dreams was not just a gift, it was a divine calling that set the stage for the fulfillment of God's plan. In a similar vein, your purpose was not accidental, it was predestined. You were not simply exposing secrets or stirring the pot with idle gossip. You were sent to shatter the illusions that had held the powerful in their grasp for centuries, to awaken minds that had long been asleep to the reality of the world. The agent now saw you through a new lens. What once seemed like an inconvenient truth was, in fact, a divine intervention meant to illuminate what had been hidden in the shadows. You were a disruptor of the highest order, one who had been sent to break through the fortress of lies that protected the powerful. But more importantly, you were a catalyst for awakening. Your presence alone had forced the agent to confront the unspoken truths they had once ignored. Now, they understood that you had been strategically placed in their path to reveal the deeper reality, a reality beyond the control of the systems they had once trusted. You were not there to simply expose flaws or weaknesses. You were there to awaken the slumbering minds within the system, those who had been bound by years of false teachings, manipulation, and lies. And as the agent stood at the precipice of this realization, they could no longer deny the truth. You were the chosen one, the messenger sent to awaken the truth in them all. Your mission was not just one of exposure, but of divine revelation, meant to shatter the illusions and illuminate the path for all who were ready to see. The agent, once a loyal servant of the system, now stood at the edge of a profound transformation. Their once unwavering faith in the system that had shaped their life was irrevocably shattered. No longer could they blindly accept the structures that had guided their every action, nor could they ignore the truth that had been laid bare before them. The loyalty, duty, and control they had long upheld as the pillars of their existence now seemed like mere facades, carefully constructed illusions meant to obscure the deeper reality. The agent had seen the truth, and in doing so, They were forever changed. In the wake of this revelation, the agents found themselves at a crossroads. The world they had known, the mission they had served, was no longer a clear path. They had been trained to trust in the system's righteousness, to believe in the orders they followed, and to protect the structures that govern society. But now, the very foundation of those beliefs has crumbled. The truth, the one they had tried to ignore, had forced them to confront something they were not prepared for. The undeniable fact that they had been a part of something far darker than they had ever imagined. The weight of this newfound knowledge pressed heavily upon them. They could no longer turn away from it. The question that now loomed over the agent was a simple yet profound one. What would they do next? Would they continue to serve the very system they had uncovered as corrupt, knowing the lies and manipulations that propped it up? Or would they break free from the chains of their past, choosing a new path aligned with the truth they had discovered? This decision was not an easy one. The agent had spent years living by the code of duty and loyalty. They had sacrificed much to uphold that code. But now, standing on the precipice of a new reality, they understood that to remain silent, to continue serving a broken system, would be to betray everything they had come to know as true. To walk away, however, meant abandoning the life they had known and stepping into the unknown, a life that required courage, vulnerability, and an unwavering commitment to the truth. The path forward was unclear, but it was the only path that aligned with the truth the agent had uncovered. There would be no turning back. What had once seemed like a duty had now become a moral imperative to walk in the light, to leave behind the deception, and to serve a greater purpose, one rooted in honesty, integrity, and divine revelation. The agent now had a choice to make, and though the road ahead was uncertain, they knew they could no longer walk in the shadows. The time had come to step forward, to embrace the truth, and to find a new path that reflected the change that had taken place within them. And you, as one of God's chosen ones, have already made a profound impact. You have shattered the programming that sought to control and deceive. Your words, your actions, and your very presence have shaken the foundations of the enemy's strongholds. You are a beacon of light in a world shrouded in darkness, and your influence will only grow as you continue to speak the truth. The world will resist, and the enemies of truth will attempt to silence you. But remember this: what God has ordained, no man can overturn. The truth is unstoppable, and with it you will rise, unshaken and unbowed, until every lie has been exposed and divine justice is fully realized. That is more than enough. Like this message. Comment below. Subscribe so you don't miss any future revelations. And most importantly, step into your divine calling. May God bless you richly. Beloved, listen with your heart, as this message is not just for you. It is about you. You are not like the others. You were never meant to blend into the crowd or follow the path others set for you. You are something different, something magnificent. You are an earth angel, a radiant beacon of divine light, sent into this world to walk among shadows and transform them with your mere presence. In every moment of your life, you have stood as a testament to the fact that you carry within you a power that others cannot fathom. But there is something most profound you must understand, something that is about to unfold before your very eyes. A force so dark, so twisted in nature, has fallen in love with you. Not because you are like them, but because you represent everything they can never be. You, Earth Angel, embody the unshakable essence of truth, light, and love. You stand tall, unyielding, when others crumble. Your presence alone unnerves the very foundation of darkness. And now this force, this master of deception, fear, and chaos, finds itself ensnared in its own traps, unable to break free. It has tried to manipulate, to deceive, to control, and yet you remain untouched, a shining light, standing firm in your truth. But what happens next? How do you respond to such a profound confrontation? You, chosen one, have been placed here for a reason. and your journey holds the key to a deeper understanding of power, love, and transformation. The Chosen One stands as an unshakable force, a beacon of light in a world shrouded by darkness. From the moment you were born, you were never meant to follow the crowd, to fit into the molds of others. You were destined for something far greater, to walk a path that only the boldest souls dare to tread. Your light is undeniable, and it cannot be dimmed by the shadows that seek to consume it. While others cower in fear, you stand firm, unyielding and fearless, radiating a strength that unsettles even the deepest forces of darkness. The devil, who has spent centuries weaving deception, manipulation, and chaos, has encountered many who have fallen before its tricks. Great kings, wise philosophers, and even the righteous have succumbed to its snares. Yet when it faced you, it found something entirely different. The traps it set, the temptations it offered, and the fears it instilled all failed to break you. In fact, they only revealed your true power. You, the Chosen One, do not engage in the games of the devil. You do not play by its rules, nor do you bend to its will. While others are swayed by illusion, you see through the falsehoods, recognizing them for what they truly are, mere distractions meant to steal your peace and light. The devil, used to manipulating the minds of the mighty, finds itself powerless in your presence. It cannot use the same tactics on you that it has used for centuries to bring empires to their knees. You are not broken by its lies. You do not fall for its deceptions. Instead, you remain steadfast in your truth, unwavering in your faith, and this is what terrifies the devil. For the first time, it faces something it cannot control, a force of nature that stands beyond its reach. Your power does not lie in physical strength or in the ability to defeat the devil through violence. No, your power lies in your unwavering authenticity. The light you carry is not of this world, and it cannot be extinguished by the darkness that surrounds it. You stand firm, not because you are defiant, but because you are grounded in your truth. The devil has never encountered anyone like you before, someone whose presence alone shatters its illusions and exposes its weaknesses. It is in your stillness, in your ability to remain true to yourself, that the devil is forced to confront the very lies it has lived by. You do not need to fight. You do not need to engage in a battle of wills. You simply are, and that is enough. Your light has a profound effect on the world around you. It disrupts the devil's carefully constructed web, exposing the vulnerabilities it has spent lifetimes hiding. The devil thought it could break you, but in reality, it has become ensnared by its own deception. And now, it is you who holds the power. The more you stand in your truth, the more the darkness around you begins to dissolve, and the devil finds itself unraveling. You are the embodiment of divine strength, and this is what makes you unstoppable. The transformation begins when the devil, accustomed to controlling and manipulating, faces something it has never encountered before: your unwavering light and truth. For centuries, the devil has weaved a tapestry of deception, carefully crafting illusions to keep the world in darkness. It has watched kingdoms fall, witnessed the wise crumble under pressure, and seen the righteous stray from their paths, all due to its clever manipulations. The devil thrives on chaos and fear, using these as tools to dominate and subjugate, never expecting to encounter someone who sees through its carefully constructed facade. But when it comes to you, the Chosen One, everything changes. You do not bend to the devil's will, nor do you fall into the traps set by its false promises. While the devil has spent lifetimes perfecting the art of temptation, it is powerless against your clarity and truth. The illusions it has long used to control others crumble in your presence, and for the first time, it finds itself exposed. No longer able to hide behind deceit, the devil is forced to confront the reality it has spent so long avoiding. The light you carry is not just a force that guides you. It is a force that shines on the darkness around you, unraveling everything the devil once believed to be true. As the devil stands before you, it experiences something it has never known: vulnerability. It has always been the predator, the one in control, but now it is ensnared by its own web of lies. Your unwavering presence has disrupted its power, revealing the cracks in its carefully built armor. What was once a master of manipulation is now forced to question itself. The devil, for the first time, sees that it cannot manipulate you. It cannot twist your truth. Your light exposes its deepest fears, its darkest wounds, and it is in this moment that the devil begins to unravel. The power it thought it had is revealed to be an illusion, and it stands before you, no longer the force it once was. This unraveling is not immediate, nor is it easy. The devil has existed for eons, thriving in its deception, and now it must confront the very things it has long denied. But even in the face of its own unraveling, the devil finds itself strangely drawn to you. It cannot escape the truth you radiate. It begins to realize that its power was never as absolute as it believed. Your light is not something that can be extinguished. It simply reveals what was hidden. It exposes the cracks in the devil's foundation and forces it to see what it has long avoided, the truth of its own emptiness. In this moment of confrontation, the devil stands at a crossroads. It is faced with a choice: continue down the path of destruction, or embrace the painful yet liberating journey of transformation. The light you shine is not just a force that exposes its weakness. It is a force that offers the devil an opportunity for change. It can no longer rely on manipulation to get what it wants. Instead, it must decide whether to continue in its ways or step into the light of truth that you have shown. The devil's unraveling is not the conclusion of the story, but rather a pivotal moment, a moment of opportunity for transformation, if it is willing to embrace it. The revelation unfolds when the devil, the master of deception, is confronted with a force it has never been able to control: your unwavering presence. For centuries, the devil has thrived on creating illusions, bending reality to its will, and making darkness appear as light. It has whispered into the ears of kings, manipulated the hearts of rulers, and twisted the minds of the righteous. The devil has long been a puppet master, pulling strings from the shadows, convincing the world that its version of truth is the only truth. But when it faces you, all of that begins to shatter. You are not swayed by the devil's whispers, nor are you drawn into the webs it weaves. Your clarity exposes every illusion for what it is: empty, hollow, and false. The devil, used to being the one who creates deception, is now the one whose lies are exposed. The illusions that once kept the world in darkness crumble in your light. The masks the devil wears, designed to manipulate and control, no longer hide its true nature. You see through the facade, recognizing the darkness for what it truly is: a hollow attempt to overshadow the light that resides in you. This breaking of illusions is not just about exposing lies, it is about revealing the truth that has always been hidden behind layers of deception. The devil thrives on the belief that it controls the world, that it can manipulate anyone and everyone to do its bidding. But in your presence, it can no longer hide behind its illusions. The truth you carry is too powerful for its deceitful tactics to succeed. And in that truth, the devil is forced to face the reality it has long avoided. It is not the ultimate force in the universe. The revelation is a profound moment of clarity, not just for you, but for the devil as well. The darkness it has cultivated is now exposed to the light, and for the first time, it sees the full extent of its own emptiness. All the power it once believed it had, all the fear it instilled in others, is revealed to be nothing more than an illusion. The devil has built an empire on fear, on control, and on manipulation, but in your unwavering truth, it sees that none of it is real. It is a house of cards, ready to collapse. This moment is a turning point. The devil, no longer able to hide behind its illusions, stands exposed and vulnerable. It realizes that its greatest weapon, deception, no longer holds power over you. Your light shines through every shadow, revealing the truth that has been buried for so long. And this truth is not just about exposing the devil's lies. It is about awakening the world to a higher understanding. You have shattered the illusion, not with force or violence, but with the clarity of your presence. And in doing so, You have revealed that the devil's power was never real to begin with. The revelation is more than a simple unveiling of the devil's deception. It is the beginning of a transformation. Once the illusions are broken, the devil is faced with a choice: to continue down the path of destruction, or to embrace the painful but necessary journey of self-awareness and change. The truth you have revealed offers the devil a chance to heal, to transform, and to choose a new path. Whether it chooses this path or not is yet to be seen, but the illusion has been broken, and with it, the devil's control. The power of truth, once unleashed, cannot be contained, and it is in this moment that everything changes. The devil now finds itself at a crucial crossroads, faced with a choice that it has never had to make before. For eons, it has been the one in control, the master of manipulation, the force that twists the truth and bends reality to its will. It has thrived in darkness, using fear, temptation, and deceit as tools to control and dominate. But now, in the presence of your unyielding light, the devil is confronted with something it has never fully understood: the power of truth. For the first time, its illusions no longer work. The carefully woven web of lies that it has spent centuries building has begun to unravel. The shadows that once shielded its power are no longer impenetrable. And in this moment, the devil is left with a question: will it continue down the path of destruction, or will it step into the light and embrace the possibility of transformation? This moment of choice is not just a simple decision. It is a profound reckoning. The devil has always believed that control was the ultimate power, that manipulation and fear were the keys to shaping the world around it. But now, standing before the undeniable truth that you represent, the devil must question everything it once held to be true. The power of darkness, which has sustained it for so long, is now revealed to be hollow in the face of light. The devil's tactics, its manipulation and control, have lost their grip. The lies it has spread no longer resonate, and it stands exposed, vulnerable in a way it has never known. The question remains: will the devil allow this moment of reckoning to be its undoing, or will it seize this opportunity for change? For the first time, it has the chance to evolve, to step away from its patterns of destruction and manipulation, and embrace something greater: the potential for transformation. But transformation is not easy. It requires the devil to confront its own darkness, to face the very fears and weaknesses it has long hidden from the world, and perhaps even from itself. The road to change is painful and fraught with uncertainty, but it is the only path that leads to true freedom. The choice is now in the devil's hands. It can continue down the path of chaos, destruction, and manipulation, or it can choose to let go of its old ways and open itself up to the possibility of something new. It can choose to remain entrenched in the darkness, or it can embrace the light and step into a future of healing and growth. This choice is not just about the devil's fate. It is about the fate of everything it has touched. The decision it makes will determine not only its own transformation, but the ripple effects it will have on the world around it. What will the devil choose? Will it remain in the shadows, clinging to its illusions? Or will it rise to the challenge of change and embrace the light? The decision is pivotal, and its consequences will echo throughout eternity. The true power lies in the ability to understand, for understanding is what transforms darkness into light. The devil, a master of deception, has always relied on illusion, twisting reality to control and manipulate the world. Fear, temptation, and lies have been its tools, and for ages they have brought even the most powerful to their knees. But when it faces you, everything changes. You do not fight the devil with weapons or brute strength. You confront it with understanding, with the unwavering ability to see through its illusions. While the devil thrives on confusion and deception, you bring clarity. Where there is fear, you offer calm. Where there is darkness, you bring light. Your presence alone disrupts the devil's hold, not because you are engaging in a battle of wills, but because you see things as they truly are. The devil's illusions lose their power in the face of your truth. The lies it has woven, the deceptions it has cast over the world, all begin to unravel when they come into contact with your understanding. You don't fall for its tricks or get ensnared in its webs. You recognize them for what they are: empty shadows, designed to distract and confuse. And when you stand in your truth, those shadows can no longer hide the light that is within you. This is where your true strength lies, not in resistance, but in your presence. You do not need to fight or engage in the devil's games. You simply stand firm in who you are, and in doing so, you expose the flaws in the devil's tactics. It is your clarity, your ability to see beyond the veil of deception, that makes you powerful. The devil, accustomed to twisting reality and manipulating those around it, is powerless against someone who refuses to be deceived. The power of your understanding breaks the chains of its control. In this light, the devil is revealed for what it truly is: nothing more than a collection of lies built on fear and manipulation. And when it stands before you, exposed, it begins to unravel. You see the truth in all things, and this understanding cannot be hidden, no matter how many layers of illusion the devil tries to place over it. Your light shines through the darkness, breaking down the walls the devil has built, and revealing the truth that has always been there. The devil's greatest weapon has always been its ability to deceive. But when you walk in understanding, you turn its weapon into nothing more than a fleeting illusion. And in this understanding, the light you carry cannot be extinguished, no matter how hard the devil tries. Your clarity is a force that the devil cannot match, for in the presence of truth, every lie is revealed. Chosen one, as you stand firm in your truth, remember this: you are not like the others. You were never meant to follow the crowd or shrink in fear, but to rise above, to embrace the power that lies within you. The light you carry cannot be extinguished by darkness, and the truth you embody is a force that will always break through the lies. You are a beacon in a world that often seems lost in shadows, and your presence alone is enough to shift the very fabric of reality. Your strength lies in your authenticity, your unwavering understanding of who you are. The challenges you face, the trials you endure, are not here to break you. They are here to refine you, to shape you into the powerful force of change you were always meant to be. As you continue on your journey, embrace this power within you. Stand tall in your light, knowing that you are not alone. The universe is supporting you every step of the way. And with each step you take, you inspire others to rise, to find their own strength, and to stand in their truth. The world needs you now more than ever, chosen one. I want to take a moment to thank you for being here, for listening, for embracing the light within yourself. If this message has resonated with you, and if you feel called to join this journey of truth and transformation, I invite you to subscribe to this channel. By doing so, you'll never miss an inspiring story or powerful message that could fuel your path toward greatness. Your presence and support help spread these truths further, touching lives all around the world. Thank you for being part of this community. May you continue to walk in strength with your light shining brightly for all to see. You are blessed, you are seen, and you are loved. Keep shining, chosen one. In a world full of noise, distractions, and shallow interactions, a few rare individuals have forged a different path. These are the chosen ones, the ones who walk the road less traveled, the ones who have embraced solitude, not as a curse, but as their battlefield. While others remain lost in the chaos of their lives, the chosen ones rise, unshaken by the challenges that break most people. They carve new paths in the unknown, evolving into beings of power, clarity, and depth. But how do they do it? How do they survive the hardships that others can't even imagine enduring? It is in solitude where the chosen ones find their true strength. This isolation doesn't break them, it shapes them. It forces them to confront their deepest fears, to sharpen their minds, and to develop powers that separate them from the majority. And those powers are what make them unstoppable. If you've ever felt different, If you've ever been drawn away from the crowd, you know the silence, the feeling of being out of place, and yet, you also know that it is this very solitude that holds the key to your transformation. In this article, we will uncover the 5 supernatural powers that the chosen ones develop in solitude. Powers that make them rise above the 80% of people who remain stuck in the noise and distractions of life. These powers will not only make you unstoppable, they will also change the way you see the world and the way the world sees you. Now I invite you to hit that subscribe button and comment 777 below to join me on this journey of faith, healing, and transformation. Let's walk together. Power 1. The ironclad mind, unshaken in the face of pressure. In a world where chaos reigns and pressure mounts, the chosen ones remain unshaken, like mountains standing tall against the fiercest storms. When everything around them crumbles, they don't break. They don't panic. Instead, they thrive. While the world is designed to break the average person, through distractions, expectations, and emotional turmoil, the chosen stand firm, undeterred by the relentless forces around them. Their minds are unmovable, their will unbreakable. This unshakable mindset is not born of mere luck. It's forged in the fires of adversity. The chosen ones have faced hardships most would never imagine: betrayal, loneliness, abandonment, and despair. These trials have not been their undoing, but their shaping force. Like steel in a forge, the heat of their struggles has hardened them, giving them the strength to withstand whatever life throws their way. Each challenge they've faced has added layers to their resolve, solidifying their inner strength and resilience. While others crumble under pressure, overwhelmed by emotion and circumstance, the chosen remain standing, their hearts calm and their minds sharp. In moments of crisis, where the world spirals into chaos, the chosen ones do not react with rage, fear, or panic. They remain still, like the eye of a hurricane, calm amidst the storm. Others may lash out, make rash decisions, or allow their emotions to rule their actions, but the chosen are different. They step back and observe. They calculate their next move with precise intention, unaffected by the emotions that cloud others' judgment. Where others act impulsively, driven by the rush of adrenaline or the weight of their fears, the chosen calmly plan, making decisions with a clarity that others cannot fathom. Their ability to remain composed is often misunderstood. Many mistake their calm for coldness, assuming that the chosen feel nothing. But this is far from the truth. The reality is that the chosen have mastered their emotions. They don't suppress their feelings, they control them. They've learned how to sit with their emotions, process them, and channel that raw energy into something more powerful. Where others would allow their emotions to drive them to destruction, the chosen harness their emotional energy, refining it, turning it into strength and focus. It is in this mastery of self that the true power of the chosen lies. When most people crumble under the weight of a stressful situation, the chosen remain resolute. They are not immune to pain or distress, but they refuse to let those emotions govern their actions. Instead, they transform those feelings into something greater. The chosen can feel the sting of betrayal, the heaviness of sorrow, the intensity of anger, but they do not let these emotions control them. They take that energy, refine it, and use it to propel themselves forward. This is what makes them dangerous. While others react impulsively, the chosen move with purpose. While others explode, the chosen remain calm, calculating, and unbreakable. In heated moments, whether in arguments, conflicts, or high-stakes decisions, the chosen are the ones who remain grounded. They see through the noise, recognizing that the true battle lies not outside themselves, but within. They have already faced the greatest adversary, their own doubts, fears, and emotions. As a result, their minds are clear, their instincts sharpened, and their decisions deliberate. They are in full control, and in a world that thrives on chaos, this inner mastery gives them an edge that others simply cannot match. The greatest strength of the chosen lies not in their ability to avoid emotions, but in their ability to control them. They have learned to face the storm within, and have come out the other side with a mind stronger than steel. This is what makes them unshakable, unstoppable, and ultimately, undefeatable. While the rest of the world falters under the weight of their own emotional turmoil, the chosen walk calmly, resolutely, and purposefully, moving toward greatness with unwavering certainty. Power 2. The soul's X-ray, seeing through the masks of others. The chosen ones possess a rare gift, the ability to see through the masks that most people wear. In a world where nearly everyone hides behind a facade, pretending to be confident, happy, or at peace, the chosen see the truth that lies beneath the surface. They can hear the words people speak, but more importantly, they feel the weight of their silence. The chosen can look into someone's eyes and perceive the unspoken fears, insecurities, and desires that lurk beneath the surface. To them, the world is full of masks, but they possess the power to remove them, revealing the raw, unfiltered truth that others try desperately to hide. This ability is not something that is given lightly. It is earned through solitude. While the rest of the world fills their days with distractions and noise, the chosen sit in silence, learning to observe. They become masters of reading subtle cues, the slight hesitation in someone's voice, the tension in their posture, the flicker of doubt in their eyes. These small signals that most people miss become glaring indicators to the chosen. It's as though they possess X-ray vision, enabling them to peer past the carefully constructed facades that others present to the world and see the hidden truths beneath. What makes this ability so unsettling is that it strips people of their illusions. When the chosen look at someone, it's as if that person is laid bare, exposed for all their hidden motives, contradictions, and lies. People are uncomfortable when they realize they cannot hide their true selves from the chosen. They may smile, but the chosen can sense the resentment lurking behind that smile. They may speak confidently, but the chosen can detect the underlying insecurity. It is this ability to see through the veil of pretense that makes the chosen ones so powerful and so feared. However, the chosen do not use their gift to manipulate or take advantage of others. They don't use their insights to control. They use them to understand. This power isn't about gaining an upper hand over others. It is about protecting themselves from deception and forming deep, authentic connections with the few who dare to be real. While most people live in a world of illusions, the chosen walk through life with eyes wide open, fully aware of the truths others are too afraid to acknowledge. They understand that to truly connect with others, you must first see them as they truly are, not as they present themselves. In a society where most people are actors, playing roles to protect themselves or fit in, the chosen ones see through the performance. They recognize the difference between appearance and reality, and this understanding sets them apart. They don't get fooled by charming words or polished images. Instead, they see the raw, unfiltered reality of the human experience. It is this ability to see the truth that makes them dangerous to those who rely on deception to navigate the world. The chosen are rare. Few people possess this level of clarity and understanding. But those who do are unstoppable, for they cannot be manipulated or controlled by the lies that bind most others. The power of the chosen is not just in their ability to see others clearly, it's in their capacity to navigate the world with authenticity. They recognize the masks people wear, but they are not fooled by them. Instead, they meet people where they are, seeing the truth behind the mask and connecting with others on a deeper level than most will ever experience. This is the power of the chosen, the ability to see beyond the surface, beyond the illusions, and to understand the real, raw truth that lies beneath. Power 3. The razor mind phenomenon, clarity and focus in the midst of chaos. In a world overwhelmed by noise, distractions, and constant chaos, the chosen ones have mastered the art of razor-sharp focus. While others are drowned in a sea of uncertainty, confusion, and hesitation, the chosen stand clear and resolute, their minds sharp as blades. They can cut through the noise, seeing the world with a clarity that most can only dream of. While the masses are pulled in 100 directions, the chosen remain focused, determined, and absolutely certain of their purpose. This remarkable ability to maintain hyper-focus does not come naturally. It is a skill honed over countless hours of solitude, introspection, and self-discipline. In a world where most people waste their time mindlessly scrolling through social media, engaging in shallow conversations, or filling their minds with trivial distractions, the chosen use their time differently. They embrace silence, allowing themselves to tune out the chaos around them. They learn to focus their minds, sharpening their clarity like a blade being honed to perfection. Where others are lost in the noise, the chosen see through it, pinpointing what truly matters and focusing all their energy on it. This laser-like focus is not a product of chance. It is the result of rigorous mental training. Through isolation, the chosen have learned to shut out the doubts, fears, and distractions that cloud the minds of others. They have spent countless hours reflecting on their goals, their motivations, and the path they must take. In doing so, they have developed the ability to cut through the mental fog that paralyzes others and see clearly what is important. This heightened clarity allows them to make decisions swiftly and with confidence, something most people cannot do in the face of confusion and pressure. While the world around them may be in chaos, the chosen remain calm and composed. They don't second-guess themselves. When others hesitate, caught in the swirl of uncertainty and indecision, the chosen move forward with purpose, making choices that others are too afraid to make. Their mind is no longer clouded by doubt or fear. They have trained themselves to trust their judgment completely. This ability to see clearly, to make decisions without hesitation, is what sets them apart from the rest of the world. And it is this clarity that makes them unstoppable. In a world where most people freeze when faced with pressure, the chosen step into the storm with unshakable certainty. They make decisions that seem reckless to others, but to them, it is the natural result of their unwavering focus and crystal-clear understanding of the situation. Where others get lost in the noise, the chosen move with precision, always one step ahead, always certain of their direction. This absolute clarity of thought is not just a gift. It is the culmination of their inner work, their dedication to mastering their mind and their purpose. And this power, this ability to cut through the chaos, is what makes the chosen ones truly unstoppable. Power 4. The echo of pain. Understanding the unspoken struggles of others. The chosen ones possess a rare and powerful gift, the ability to feel the unspoken pain of others. It's as if they can hear the silent cries of those around them, even when no words are spoken. While others may smile, speak politely, or hide behind masks of composure, the chosen see beyond these facades. They sense the sorrow behind a forced laugh, the insecurity hidden beneath a facade of confidence, and the desperation veiled by an outward display of control. It is not just that they see people. They feel them on a much deeper level. They can intuitively grasp the struggles that others are too afraid to show, understanding the emotional battles that remain buried beneath the surface. This ability is not something that comes easily. It is a gift forged through the chosen one's own encounters with pain. They have faced their own battles, walked through the darkest of valleys, and endured the harshest of trials. Loneliness, betrayal, heartbreak, and despair have been their companions. But instead of allowing these experiences to break them, the chosen have emerged stronger. Through their own suffering, they have developed an uncanny sensitivity to the pain of others. Just as they recognize the burn of their own scars, they can see and feel the hidden wounds in the eyes of others, even when those people are too afraid to acknowledge them. Most people, when confronted with pain, seek ways to avoid or bury it. They distract themselves with meaningless activities, deny their suffering, or build walls to keep others from seeing their vulnerabilities. But the chosen ones do not run from their pain. They face it head-on, allowing themselves to process their darkness and learn from it. This journey through their own suffering has sharpened their ability to empathize with others, giving them a rare gift, the ability to perceive the subtle signs of distress that others might miss. Far from being a weakness, this heightened sensitivity is a tremendous strength. The chosen have learned to listen to the unspoken words, to understand the energy that surrounds a person, and to connect with others in ways that most cannot. With this gift, they can offer something that few can: true understanding. They can comfort those in pain, provide a safe space for others to open up, and offer healing in ways that go beyond words. Their presence alone can be a balm for someone's soul, simply because they truly see and feel what others are going through. While others may feel uncomfortable with their ability to read the unspoken pain of those around them, the chosen embrace it. They do not use it to manipulate or judge. Instead, they use it to connect on a deeper, more meaningful level. They understand that every person carries a burden, and they have the wisdom to offer compassion without expectation. This is what makes the chosen truly powerful. Their ability to step into another's shoes, to understand their unspoken struggles, and to offer comfort and healing in a world that often overlooks the silent battles people face. Power 5. The Time Alchemist. Turning solitude into mastery. Time is an unrelenting force. It moves forward without pause, indifferent to the struggles and distractions of those caught in its current. While most people let time slip away, consumed by distractions, fleeting pleasures, and shallow pursuits, the chosen ones see time as a tool, a force they can bend to their will. They are time alchemists, capable of transforming moments of solitude into opportunities for profound growth and transformation. Where others waste time, the chosen make it their ally, turning every second into an investment in their evolution. While most people dread the silence that accompanies solitude, seeing it as boredom or emptiness, the chosen see it as fertile ground for growth. They don't fill their time with the noise of the world. Instead, they embrace the silence, using it as a space to sharpen their minds, refine their skills, and deepen their understanding. For the chosen, every moment alone is a chance to improve, to master their thoughts, emotions, and actions. They know that time, once lost, can never be regained, and they refuse to squander it. Where others waste hours on trivial distractions, the chosen harness their time to build a stronger, wiser, and more focused version of themselves. In solitude, the chosen do not merely survive, they thrive. They understand that it is in these quiet moments away from the chaos and noise of the world that true transformation occurs. The isolation they experience is not something to be feared, but something to be cherished. It is in these moments of stillness that they confront their own limitations and break free from the constraints of the ordinary world. They embrace the silence, knowing that it is through solitude that they gain the clarity, strength, and insight needed to rise above the crowd. And when the chosen emerge from their time alone, they are unrecognizable to those around them. The time they've spent in solitude has refined them into something unstoppable. They are no longer bound by the distractions and limitations that hold most people back. They have mastered their thoughts, their emotions, and their actions, and now they move through life with power, precision, and purpose. They no longer follow the paths that others tread. They create their own path, guided by the wisdom they've gained from their time alone. The power of the time alchemist lies in the ability to see solitude not as a void, but as a space for growth and mastery. While others may fear the quiet, the chosen use it to elevate themselves. They know that time is the most valuable resource they possess, and they treat it with the respect it deserves. Through their ability to turn solitude into strength, they become masters of time itself, and in doing so, they become unstoppable forces, moving through life with an unwavering sense of purpose. The chosen are not ordinary. They are unshaken in the face of pressure, able to see the truth behind the masks of others, and move with unyielding clarity in a world full of noise. They feel the pain of others deeply and turn their solitude into a source of unstoppable strength. They are the masters of their time, and nothing can stand in their way. If you feel different, if you feel like you were never meant to blend in with the 80%, then you are one of the chosen. Now, it's time to unlock your true potential and use your solitude to transform yourself into the unstoppable force you were always meant to be. Chosen one, listen carefully. This is not just another message. It is a divine warning, a prophecy unfolding at this very moment. If these words have reached you, know that it is not by accident. The spiritual realm is stirring, the heavens have spoken, and God Himself is making a declaration over your life. Tonight, a shift is happening. The battle that has raged in the unseen world is about to manifest in the physical. Those who plotted against you, those who slandered your name, those who tried to tear you down, they are about to experience something they never expected: the judgment of the Almighty. You have felt it in your spirit, haven't you? That unshakable feeling that something is about to break, that heavy energy surrounding you, the tension in the air. This is not your imagination. This is not a mere coincidence. It is confirmation. God has seen every tear you shed in silence. He has heard your whispered prayers, the ones you thought no one noticed. He has watched you endure attack after attack, betrayal after betrayal. And now, tonight, the hour has come. The wicked have gone too far, and the hand of God is moving against them. From the moment God placed His anointing upon you, your life was set apart. You were called, chosen, and elevated by divine favor, but with that elevation came opposition. The chosen ones have always been targets of attack, not because they have done anything wrong, but because of the light they carry. If you are truly anointed, understand this: you will have enemies. You do not need to provoke them, offend them, or even interact with them. Your mere existence disturbs their demons. Your favor enrages them. Your resilience frustrates them. The grace upon your life is like a mirror, reflecting their own shortcomings, and they cannot stand it. They will despise you for reasons even they cannot fully explain. Some will pretend to support you while secretly hoping for your downfall. Others will actively seek to destroy you, using slander, deception, and betrayal as their weapons. They will lie on your name, twist your words, and work behind the scenes to block your blessings. They will manipulate, gossip, and scheme against you, believing that if they can tear you down, they can somehow erase what God has placed upon your life. But what they fail to realize is this: every attack against you is an attack against God Himself. The forces working against you are not just human. This is spiritual warfare, and your enemies are not merely acting out of personal hatred. They are being used by a greater darkness that seeks to extinguish the light within you. The enemy has always feared the chosen ones, for they carry a divine assignment that cannot be stopped. Your anointing is a threat to the kingdom of darkness. That is why you have faced obstacles that seemed insurmountable. That is why you have endured betrayals that cut deep. That is why, even when you tried to walk in peace, opposition arose against you from unexpected places. But here is the truth your enemies have overlooked. God has seen it all. Every scheme, every whispered lie, every attempt to break you. He has taken notice. He has heard the words spoken against you in secret. He has watched as they celebrated your struggles, convinced that they had succeeded in bringing you down. What they do not understand is that the very trials they hoped would destroy you were the ones strengthening you. Every hardship made you wiser. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every setback positioned you for a greater comeback. And now, tonight, the tables are turning. The same ones who laughed at your pain will soon witness something they never expected: the judgment of the Almighty. The wrath of the living God is moving against those who have mocked His anointed. They thought they had gotten away with their wickedness, but they failed to recognize that God's justice is never delayed. It is only perfectly timed. They sowed destruction, and now they will reap it. They set traps for you, but now they will fall into their own snares. They dug pits for your downfall, but those very pits will become their own graves. Chosen one, stand still and watch. You do not need to retaliate. You do not need to defend yourself. The battle is not yours, it belongs to God. He has already decreed their fate, and His judgment is swift and unstoppable. What is coming for them cannot be escaped, and as they fall, you will rise. As they crumble, you will be elevated. What they meant for evil, God is turning for your good. This is the season where divine justice will be served. The enemies of the chosen ones will finally learn the painful lesson they never expected: never touch what belongs to God. There is no position more perilous, no fate more terrifying, than standing on the wrong side of God's judgment. He is merciful, slow to anger, and abounding in grace, yet he is also a God of justice. For a season, he allows the wicked time to repent, to turn from their evil ways, to seek forgiveness. But when they harden their hearts, when they continue in deception and refuse correction, his patience does not equate to inaction. The moment his judgment is set into motion, it is like a consuming fire, unstoppable, unrelenting, and absolute. Your enemies thought they were untouchable. They walked in arrogance, convinced that their deceit, manipulation, and hidden schemes would protect them forever. They mistook God's silence for indifference, never realizing that he was simply giving them a chance to change. They believed their wealth, influence, and carefully crafted lies would shield them from the consequences of their actions. They assumed they had escaped justice, that they could continue to move in darkness without fear of exposure. But what they failed to understand is this: God's justice is never late. It is only perfectly timed. He allows the wicked to build themselves up, only so that when they fall, it is from a height so great that their destruction becomes undeniable. And now, that time has come. Some of them will face immediate consequences as everything they place their trust in begins to crumble. Watch carefully, and you will see how suddenly their downfall begins. Some will lose everything overnight: the wealth they boasted in, the status they used as a weapon, the security they thought was unshakable. It will all be taken from them in an instant. The very foundation they stood upon will collapse beneath them. Some will be exposed. Their carefully hidden secrets, the lies they told, the sins they committed in darkness, all will be dragged into the light for all to see. The masks they wore will be torn away, and the world will witness them for who they truly are. Some will experience turmoil, consumed by their own wickedness. The guilt, the fear, the weight of their own actions will begin to eat them alive. Their minds will become restless, tormented by the very things they once thought were hidden. They will find no peace, no escape, no way to silence the voice of judgment echoing in their souls. Some will cry out for help, but no one will answer. The same people they once manipulated, the same allies they conspired with, will abandon them. They will reach out, desperate for support, for someone to rescue them from the storm. But they will find themselves completely alone. Everything they plotted against you will return upon their own heads. The very weapons they crafted in secret will turn against them. The pit they dug for you, they will fall into it themselves. The traps they set for your destruction will become the snares that ensnare them. But here is what you must remember, chosen one. This is not your battle to fight. You do not need to lift a finger. You do not need to seek revenge. You do not need to explain yourself, argue, or try to prove anything. God himself has already decided their fate. His justice is in motion, and nothing can stop it. Stand still and watch. What is about to unfold is not an accident. It is divine retribution. And as their world falls apart, yours will rise. As they stumble, you will walk forward in strength. Their downfall is not your concern. Your focus must remain on the path God has set before you. For too long, they believed they could act without consequence. But now, God has had enough. His judgment has arrived, and those who oppose his chosen ones are about to learn the most painful lesson of all. No one stands against God and wins. Chosen one. As you step into this season of divine justice and elevation, your role is not to avenge yourself, or to dwell on the downfall of those who wronged you. God does not need your help in carrying out judgment. Your focus must remain on him, your purpose, and the blessings that are on the horizon. Do not look back. Do not be distracted. Stay aligned with his will. First, do not interfere with what God is doing. It may be tempting to reach out, to offer comfort, or even to warn those who betrayed you. But understand this: their suffering is a direct result of their own choices. God gave them time to repent, to turn away from their wickedness, but they refused. Now, Their consequences are unfolding. Do not try to rescue them from what they willingly walked into. You must also guard your heart. Bitterness, anger, and resentment are traps set by the enemy. Do not allow their actions to corrupt your spirit. You are not called to harbor hate. You are called to rise above it. Stay in prayer. Pray not for their restoration, but for your own protection, wisdom, and elevation. Ask God to keep your heart pure and your focus strong as He leads you into a greater season of favor. Be cautious. Not everyone deserves a second chance in your life. Some of those who betrayed you will return, desperate and broken. They will come with tears, with apologies, with words that sound sincere. But ask yourself, are they truly repentant, or are they simply suffering? Many will beg for forgiveness, not because they have changed, but because they want relief from the consequences they now face. Do not be deceived. If God removed them from your life, it was for a reason. Resist the urge to reopen doors that God has closed. If they were meant to be part of your future, they never would have betrayed you in the first place. Some people must learn through pain what they refuse to learn through grace. Let them go. Instead of looking back, prepare for what is ahead. God is not just removing people. He is making room for your blessings. He is clearing out what was blocking your path so that you can step into your next season freely and without hindrance. What was stolen from you will be restored, sevenfold. The years you lost, the opportunities that were delayed, the hardships you endured, God is about to turn them into a testimony of victory. Be expectant. God will send signs, confirmations, and undeniable shifts in your circumstances. Pay attention to your dreams, to sudden changes, to divine alignments that seem too perfect to be coincidence. He is showing you that everything you endured had a purpose. Every betrayal, every tear, every sleepless night, it was all part of the process to mold you into who He created you to be. So, stand firm. Do not be distracted by the judgment of your enemies. Their downfall is not your focus. Your elevation is. Keep moving forward with confidence, knowing that what is coming for you is far greater than anything you have lost. This is your season of breakthrough, your moment of restoration, your divine confirmation that God has been with you all along. Your enemies once laughed at your pain, mocked your struggles, and revealed your setbacks. They spoke against you, worked against you, and believed they had won. They thought they had successfully hindered your progress, blocked your blessings, and escaped judgment. But what they failed to realize is that no one opposes a child of God and walks away unscathed. Now, the same ones who took pleasure in your suffering will find themselves drowning in their own despair. The humiliation they sought to bring upon you will return upon their own heads. They will be stripped of the very things they once used to exalt themselves, their status, their wealth, their influence, and their carefully crafted image. Where they once stood in arrogance, they will now bow in shame. The world will see them for who they truly are, as their hidden wickedness is exposed for all to witness. Divine justice is not delayed. It is only perfectly timed. And when it strikes, it comes swiftly, with no warning. For some, their wealth will disappear overnight. The financial security they boasted in, the success they believed was untouchable, will vanish before their eyes. What they used as a source of pride will become their greatest downfall. The very foundation they relied upon will crumble, leaving them in a state of desperation and loss. For others, their bodies will testify against them. The weight of their own wickedness will manifest in sickness, exhaustion, and affliction. What once came easily to them will now feel impossible. They will feel drained, burdened, and overwhelmed, struggling under the pressure of what they have sown. No doctor will be able to diagnose or cure the sickness that is a result of divine judgment. Many will suffer from mental torment. Sleepless nights will replace their once peaceful rest. They will be haunted by the very acts they committed in darkness, unable to escape the echoes of their own wickedness. Their conscience, which they once ignored, will now scream at them relentlessly. Anxiety, fear, and paranoia will consume them as they realize they are no longer in control. Worst of all, they will be abandoned. The same people who once stood beside them, who applauded their actions, will now turn their backs. They will find themselves isolated, rejected by the very ones they conspired with. Their alliances will shatter, their relationships will crumble, and they will come to understand the true loneliness of walking outside of God's grace. But chosen one, this is not karma. This is not mere coincidence. This is divine justice. It is the law of the Almighty. What a person sows, they will also reap. They sowed deception. Now, they will reap exposure. They sowed pain. Now, they will reap suffering. They cursed you. Now, their own words will turn against them. There is no escaping what has already been set in motion. The fate of your enemies is sealed. Their judgment has begun, and nothing can stop what is coming. Watch and see. What was done in darkness is now being brought into the light. The scales are balancing, the tables have turned, and God is proving that He will not be mocked. Chosen one, your suffering was not in vain. Every trial was a setup for your breakthrough. Every betrayal was a lesson. Every attack was preparation. What is coming next for you cannot be stopped. What was delayed is now being released. The favor that was blocked is now overflowing. You are stepping into a new level of authority and power. If this message resonates with you, declare it. Comment 777 below as a sign that you received this word. Speak it aloud. I am chosen. Let's subscribe, like, and share this message with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. What is coming next will be even more powerful. The battle is over. The war has been won. Now walk forward in victory. God's calling upon your life is a sacred and profound journey, one that requires dedication, faith, and obedience. As a chosen one, you are set apart to fulfill a divine mission, one that may not always align with the people, places, and circumstances of your past. Walking away from friends and family can be one of the most difficult aspects of this calling, yet it is often necessary for spiritual growth, refinement, and the fulfillment of God's divine purpose in your life. This is not about abandoning love or responsibility. Rather, it is about recognizing when certain relationships are hindering your journey instead of helping it. Throughout history, God's chosen ones, Joseph, Abraham, Moses, Elijah, Jesus all experienced seasons of separation before stepping into their divine destiny. If you find yourself at a crossroads, sensing the need to step away from familiar people and places, know that you are not alone. This is a season of divine preparation, one where God removes distractions and negative influences so that you can focus entirely on His will for your life. Let's explore why separation is necessary, what the Bible teaches about it, and how you can embrace this journey with faith and confidence. When God places a divine assignment upon your life, it is not meant to be shared with just anyone. The path of the chosen is often met with resistance, and not everyone around you will understand or support the vision that God has given you. Some may doubt you, others may try to discourage you, and there will even be those who, knowingly or unknowingly, seek to sabotage the very destiny that God has planned for you. This is why separation is sometimes necessary. It is a divine act of protection, ensuring that the purpose God has set for you is not hindered or destroyed. One of the most striking examples of this in the Bible is the story of Joseph. A young dreamer, Joseph received revelations from God about his future greatness, but in his innocence, he shared these dreams with his brothers, expecting excitement or support. Instead, his words ignited jealousy and hatred in their hearts. Genesis 37:5-8 recounts this moment. Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. What should have been a moment of inspiration became a turning point of betrayal. Joseph's own brothers, his own flesh and blood, allowed envy to consume them, plotting not only to silence him, but to end his life. They cast him into a pit, later selling him into slavery, setting off a series of painful events that would eventually lead to his destiny being fulfilled in Egypt. Had Joseph remained in that toxic environment, he might never have reached the heights God had planned for him. His journey through slavery, false accusations, and imprisonment may have seemed like suffering at the time, but in reality, it was God's way of positioning him for greatness. This teaches us an essential lesson. Not everyone in your life is meant to hear your vision. Some people, rather than supporting your calling, will attempt to discredit or discourage you. Jealousy and resentment can turn even the closest relationships into obstacles that stand in the way of God's plan. The Bible warns us that the heart is deceitful above all things and beyond cure, meaning that even those who claim to love us can be swayed by their own insecurities, doubts, and fears. When God calls you to something greater, He may also call you away from certain people, places, and situations. This is not rejection. It is divine protection. It may be painful to walk away from relationships that once felt familiar and comforting, but staying in an environment of doubt, negativity, and opposition can delay or even derail the fulfillment of your purpose. Like Joseph, you may have to endure seasons of separation, discomfort, and even betrayal before stepping into your God-ordained destiny. God's plan for your life is far too important to be left vulnerable to the wrong influences. When He begins to separate you from certain people, trust that it is for your good. What feels like loss is actually preparation for elevation. If Joseph had remained in his father's house, surrounded by jealous brothers, he would never have risen to become a ruler in Egypt and a savior during the famine. In the same way, the separation you experience today may be the very thing that leads you to your divine purpose tomorrow. Therefore, guard your vision carefully. Pray for discernment about whom to share your dreams with, and trust God when He leads you away from those who do not align with His plans for your life. Separation is often the beginning of transformation. Embrace it with faith, knowing that God is guiding you toward something far greater than you can imagine. There are moments in life when God calls His chosen ones to leave behind everything familiar to embrace something new. This transition is often uncomfortable, even painful, but it is necessary for growth, transformation, and the fulfillment of His divine plan. Walking away from your past is not about abandoning your identity. It is about stepping into the greater purpose that God has designed for you. Sometimes, the environment you are in is limiting your potential, and God must remove you from it in order to elevate you. A powerful biblical example of this is found in the story of Abraham. In Genesis 12:1, God spoke directly to him, saying, "Go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you." This was a call to step into the unknown, to leave behind the security of his homeland, his family, and everything that was familiar. God did not even reveal the exact destination. He simply commanded Abraham to trust and follow. This was a test of faith, one that required Abraham to let go of the past in order to receive the promises of the future. His obedience led to generational blessings, establishing him as the father of many nations. If he had refused to leave, he would have missed out on the divine covenant that God had prepared for him. God still calls His chosen ones to leave behind certain relationships, environments, or situations in order to position them for something greater. There are several reasons why God may call you to separate from your past for a new beginning. Your current environment may be limiting your growth. Sometimes the people and places around you keep you trapped in small thinking, old habits, or patterns that prevent you from stepping into the fullness of who God has called you to be. If your surroundings do not challenge or inspire you to grow spiritually, mentally, and emotionally, then God may remove you from that place so He can stretch your faith and lead you into something greater. Certain relationships hold you back. Some people are only meant to be part of your life for a season. While they may have once been supportive or comforting, they may no longer align with the direction God is leading you. Holding on to relationships that are not in alignment with your destiny can delay or even block the blessings that God has prepared for you. New beginnings require stepping into the unknown. God often calls His chosen ones into situations where the path is unclear, forcing them to rely on faith rather than sight. This is not meant to instill fear, but to develop a deeper dependence on Him. He will never call you away from something without having a greater purpose in mind. Though stepping into a new beginning may feel daunting, it is important to trust the process. God never removes something from your life without a reason. Just as He guided Abraham, He will guide you, provide for you, and bless you abundantly when you step forward in faith. What seems like loss today is often the doorway to a future filled with purpose, abundance, and divine favor. Let go of the past, embrace the unknown, and allow God to lead you into the destiny He has prepared for you. Every chosen one must go through a season of refinement, a period where God removes distractions, builds character, and strengthens faith. This process is not always easy, but it is necessary to prepare you for the divine assignment ahead. Refinement is God's way of shaping you into the person He needs you to be, ensuring that you are spiritually, mentally, and emotionally equipped for His purpose. One of the greatest biblical examples of refinement is Jesus' time in the wilderness. Before He began His ministry, the Holy Spirit led Him into the wilderness for 40 days of fasting and testing. This was not a punishment, but a period of divine preparation. During this time, Jesus experienced isolation from the world's influences. He was separated from people and worldly distractions so that He could focus solely on God. Testing through temptations, Satan tried to lure Him away from His mission by offering shortcuts to power and glory, but Jesus resisted by standing firm in the Word of God, strengthening for the mission ahead. After this season of refinement, Jesus emerged stronger, empowered by the Holy Spirit, and fully prepared to fulfill His divine calling. This wilderness experience teaches us an important truth. God uses seasons of isolation and trials to refine His chosen ones. When God sets you apart, it may feel like you are being stripped of everything familiar, friends, comfort, security, but He is actually removing the things that could hinder your growth. It is in the wilderness that faith is tested, weaknesses are exposed, and dependence on God deepens. The refinement process serves several key purposes. God removes distractions so you can hear Him clearly. Often we are too preoccupied with the noise of the world to hear God's voice. In seasons of refinement, God separates us from unnecessary distractions so that we can develop a deeper, more intimate relationship with Him. Trials test and strengthen your faith. Just as gold is refined by fire to remove impurities, God allows trials to purify and strengthen our faith. James 1:2-4 says, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Isolation helps you grow in spiritual discipline and intimacy with God. When you are removed from certain people and environments, you have the opportunity to seek God without interference. This is a time to deepen your prayer life, study the Word, and allow God to transform your heart. Though refinement may feel uncomfortable, it is never meant to harm you. Instead, it is God's way of preparing you for something greater. After His wilderness experience, Jesus stepped into His ministry with power and clarity. Likewise, your season of refinement is a necessary step toward your divine destiny. Trust that God is using this time to mold you into the person He needs you to be, one who is strong, steadfast, and fully equipped for His purpose. When God calls you to a divine assignment, He requires your full attention. Distractions, whether in the form of unhealthy relationships, negative environments, or self-doubt, can pull you away from the path He has set before you. Many chosen ones struggle with maintaining their focus because they remain too attached to familiarity. However, familiarity can be one of the greatest obstacles to spiritual growth. People who have known you for a long time may struggle to see the transformation God is doing in your life. Their limited perspective can cause them to doubt your calling, reject your purpose, or diminish the work God is doing through you. Even Jesus Himself experienced this kind of rejection. In Mark 6:4-6, He stated, "A prophet is not without honor except in his own town, among his relatives, and in his own home. Because the people of his hometown saw him only as the carpenter's son, they dismissed his divine identity." Their unbelief limited what he could do in their midst. Instead of seeing him as the Messiah, they only remembered the boy who grew up among them. This lack of faith prevented them from receiving the miracles and blessings that Jesus could have brought to them. This teaches us a critical lesson. When people cannot see beyond your past, they can become a hindrance to your future. Sometimes the people closest to you are the ones who will have the hardest time accepting the calling upon your life. Their doubts, their skepticism, and their inability to believe in your transformation can create an environment that stifles your growth. If Jesus himself was rejected by those who knew him best, do not be surprised when you experience similar resistance. To protect your focus, you must be intentional about the people and environments you allow into your life. Here are a few key principles. Surround yourself with faith-filled people who uplift and encourage you. Your inner circle should consist of individuals who believe in your calling, support your growth, and challenge you to stay aligned with God's purpose. Proverbs 27:17 says, "As iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another." The right people will strengthen your faith, not weaken it. If you are constantly surrounded by people who discourage you or belittle your vision, it may be time to remove yourself from that space. Recognize when it's time to move on. Holding on to relationships that no longer serve your purpose can slow down or completely derail your destiny. When God shows you that a certain place, group, or relationship is no longer aligned with His plan for you, trust Him enough to walk away. God has called you to something greater, and that means your focus must remain unwavering. Do not allow familiarity, doubt, or negative influences to distract you from the divine mission ahead. Instead, surround yourself with those who encourage your faith and walk boldly in the direction God is leading you. When God calls you to walk away from certain relationships, it can feel like a season of loss and isolation. However, separation is never meant to leave you alone. It is meant to position you for something greater. Walking away does not mean permanent isolation. It means making room for the right people that God will bring into your life. When you step out in obedience, God provides new relationships that align with His divine purpose for you. Throughout the Bible, we see examples of how God replaces what is lost with something far greater. David lost family support, but gained Jonathan as a covenant friend. When David was anointed as the future king, his own family did not recognize his potential. Instead, he found unwavering support in Jonathan, the son of King Saul, who became a loyal friend and protector. Their bond was rooted in God's divine purpose, showing that when earthly relationships fail, God provides supernatural connections to help fulfill His plan. Elisha left his family but gained Elijah as a mentor. When Elisha was called to be a prophet, he had to leave his old life behind. He sacrificed his familiar surroundings, yet in return, God gave him Elijah, a powerful mentor who would prepare him for his own prophetic ministry. Because of this divine relationship, Elisha went on to perform twice as many miracles as his predecessor. The disciples left everything but found a new family in Jesus. When Jesus called His disciples, they walked away from their homes, professions, and old lives. But in return, they found a new spiritual family, one that gave them purpose, fellowship, and a deeper relationship with God. They became brothers in faith, united in their mission to spread the gospel. These stories reveal an important truth. When God removes certain people from your life, trust that He has something better in store. Sometimes, the people you were once close to are not meant to be part of your future. Their season in your life may have come to an end, and God, in His wisdom, replaces them with individuals who will support, encourage, and strengthen you in your calling. It is natural to grieve the loss of familiar relationships, but do not allow it to make you fearful of the future. God is not taking something away from you to harm you. He is preparing you for something greater. When you trust in His divine plan, you will soon see that what you thought was a loss was actually an open door to something far more meaningful and aligned with His purpose. God is positioning you for growth, refinement, and purpose. Let's a prayer for strength and guidance. Father, I thank You for calling me into Your divine purpose. Give me the strength to walk away from anything that hinders my journey with You. Help me trust that your plans are greater than my own. Lead me, refine me, and align me with your will. In Jesus' name, amen. If you found this message inspiring, please give this video a like. It helps us reach more people with God's Word. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new message. May God continue to strengthen and bless you on your journey. Your best days are ahead. See you in the next video. Dear Chosen One, if you are watching this, it is not by chance. You have been led here, guided by a force greater than yourself, because your life is about to change in ways you never imagined. The struggles, the sleepless nights, the unanswered prayers, all of it has been preparing you for this very moment. You are on the brink of a divine transformation where you will step into unlimited abundance, prosperity, and joy. God is calling His chosen ones to rise, to leave behind limitations, and to embrace a destiny far greater than they ever dreamed possible. You have worked tirelessly, yet something inside you whispers that you were meant for more. That whisper is not your imagination. It is God's voice telling you it is time. Today, I bring you a message of faith, transformation, and supernatural provision. You are about to step into a millionaire destiny, not through endless toil, but through divine favor. Your struggles are ending, and your breakthrough is beginning. So, open your heart, clear your mind, and prepare yourself, because your life will never be the same after this. For far too long, you have found yourself caught in a cycle of working tirelessly with little to show for it. You have given your time, energy, and passion to jobs that fail to recognize your worth, draining your spirit rather than fulfilling your purpose. You have watched others rise to success while you remain stuck, wondering if your breakthrough will ever come. Society has taught you that financial security is only achieved through relentless effort, that wealth is reserved for the select few who sacrifice everything to attain it. But let me tell you something. This is not the life you are meant to live. God did not place you on this earth merely to struggle, to work endlessly just to make ends meet, and to live a life of limitation. You were created for something greater. You are not here to be overlooked, undervalued, or bound by financial hardship. Your purpose is not to serve those who fail to see your value. Your purpose is to lead, to create, and to prosper. That deep desire within you for more freedom, more abundance, more impact, is not greed. It is God's calling, reminding you that you were made for a life beyond struggle. Now is the time to break free. Break free from the chains of financial hardship that have kept you trapped. Free yourself from the jobs that deplete your soul and keep you from stepping into your true calling. Free yourself from the belief that wealth and success belong to others, but not to you. You are just as worthy of abundance as anyone else. The struggle is not your destiny, prosperity is. The world may tell you that success only comes through backbreaking labor and endless sacrifice. But God's plan is different. His favor does not come through exhaustion, it comes through faith. When God chooses to bless you, no man, no system, and no circumstance can stand in the way. The shift in your life is already in motion. Your breakthrough is coming, and when it arrives, nothing will be able to stop it. So, lift your head high. You were never meant to settle. You were never meant to live in lack. God has already written abundance into your story. Now, all that is left is for you to step forward in faith and claim the life He has been preparing for you. The struggle ends here. Your time is now. Imagine waking up each day knowing that money is no longer a source of stress. Imagine a life where your bank account is overflowing, where your dreams are no longer distant possibilities but tangible realities, and where your heart is at peace, knowing that you are fully provided for. This is not just wishful thinking. This is your destiny. The financial transformation that is coming to you is not an ordinary change. It is not just an increase in your paycheck, a sudden promotion, or a lucky break. This is a divine shift. The windows of heaven are opening, and God is preparing to pour out blessings so great that you will not have room to contain them. This is not wealth that comes through struggle or mere human effort. This is supernatural provision, flowing effortlessly into your life beyond anything you have ever imagined. What this abundance looks like in your life: a financial overflow. The days of living paycheck to paycheck are over. You will have more than enough. More than enough to provide for yourself, more than enough to bless others, and more than enough to live without financial worry. Opportunities knocking at your door. The right doors will open for you at the right time. You won't have to force success. It will come to you naturally. The right career moves, the best investments, and the most profitable ventures will align in your favor. Divine connections. God will place people in your life who will help you rise higher. Mentors, business partners, and influential individuals will be drawn to you, guiding you toward greater wealth and success. An elevated lifestyle. No more settling for less than you deserve. You will live in abundance, comfort, and joy. Your home, your environment, and your experiences will reflect the blessings God has poured into your life. And here is the most powerful truth. When God blesses you, it is not temporary. This wealth will not come and go like fleeting riches. It will be permanent, limitless, and generational. The abundance He is about to release into your life is not just for you. It is meant to bless your family, uplift your community, and leave a lasting impact for generations to come. There may have been moments when you felt forgotten, when you cried out to God wondering if He even heard you. He did. Every tear, every hardship, every rejection, none of it went unnoticed. The silent battles you fought, the sacrifices you made, and the nights you spent wondering when your breakthrough would come were never in vain. God has seen it all, and through it, He has been preparing something far greater than you could ever imagine. For too long you have been overlooked, underestimated, and dismissed. You have watched as others moved ahead while you remained stuck, wondering if your time would ever come. But the tables are turning. Those who once doubted you will soon be astonished by the heights you will reach. The people who ignored your potential will witness your rise, not because of mere luck, but because of God's divine plan unfolding in your life. God is about to silence your critics, not with words, but with undeniable success. Your journey, the struggles, the setbacks, the disappointments will become a powerful testimony of what is possible when faith aligns with divine timing. Your story will inspire many, proving that no hardship is permanent and that God's promises always come to pass. What this transformation means for you. The people who once dismissed you will now seek your wisdom and guidance. Those who mocked your struggles will admire your success. The pain, frustration, and rejection of the past will be replaced with overwhelming joy and victory. You will no longer chase after money. Money will chase after you. The financial breakthrough you are stepping into will not only transform your personal circumstances, but will also serve as a public testament to God's power. You will be a living example of what happens when faith is unshakable, when patience is unwavering, and when God's favor is upon a person's life. Your struggles were never meant to break you. They were meant to build you into the person who is now ready to receive an overflow of blessings. Get ready. Your testimony is about to change lives. Faith is the key that unlocks the doors to supernatural abundance. It is not enough to hope for prosperity. You must believe it is already yours. If you truly know that God has chosen you for wealth and success, then it is time to start acting like it. Walk in confidence, speak in faith, and live in expectation. Do not let fear hold you back. Do not allow doubt to creep in and make you question whether you are worthy of the blessings that are coming your way. You are. The only thing standing between you and your breakthrough is your belief in it. So, stop hesitating. Stop shrinking back. Declare boldly, "My time has come." God's blessings are already flowing towards you. Your only job is to receive. The resources, opportunities, and connections that will elevate you to the next level are already aligning in your favor. You do not need to chase after them anxiously. Instead, Trust that they are on their way. Stop worrying about how it will happen. Trust that it will. Stop doubting whether you deserve it. You do. Stop waiting for permission. God has already given it. When you shift your mindset from scarcity to abundance, everything around you begins to change. The universe responds to what you believe and expect. If you expect struggle, struggle will come. But if you expect prosperity, if you truly believe that financial success is yours, then money, opportunities, and success will flow into your life effortlessly. Faith is not passive, it is powerful. It does not wait for evidence, it creates the evidence. When you trust fully in God's plan, you remove every barrier standing between you and your destiny. The doors are already open, the blessings are already moving. Now is the time to step forward and claim what is rightfully yours. Your millionaire transformation is already in motion. The shift has begun, and doors are opening in ways you cannot yet see. Now, your responsibility is to prepare yourself to receive the wealth that is coming. Many people pray for abundance but remain stuck in a mindset of scarcity, unknowingly blocking the very blessings they desire. You must align yourself mentally, spiritually, and practically with the overflow that is on its way. Aligning with wealth begins with a shift in mindset. Instead of seeing yourself as someone waiting for financial breakthrough, start thinking and acting like someone who already possesses abundance. Wealth is not merely a distant hope. It is something you expect, claim, and walk in daily. By envisioning yourself as financially free, living in abundance, and making an impact, you align your thoughts with the reality of prosperity. Your words play a crucial role in shaping your financial future. What you declare over your life determines what manifests. Every day, speak prosperity into existence. I am chosen for abundance. Money flows to me effortlessly. God's blessings are chasing me down. When you affirm wealth, you activate it. Speak as if it is already yours, because in the spiritual realm, it is. However, true abundance requires releasing scarcity thinking. Fear of losing money, hesitation to invest, or reluctance to take bold steps can keep you trapped in lack. Wealth is not limited, nor is God's provision ever exhausted. The more you give freely, invest wisely, and take courageous action, the more you open yourself to financial overflow. Operating with an abundance mindset invites prosperity to flow effortlessly into your life. Equally important is being ready to receive. Financial breakthroughs often come suddenly, but if you are not prepared, you may hesitate and miss them. Stay open, stay aware, and step into new opportunities without fear. The blessing you have been praying for could arrive at any moment. Be in position to embrace it. Above all, stay in faith. Even when circumstances seem uncertain, trust that God is working behind the scenes. Delays are not denials, they are divine alignments, preparing you for something greater. Patience and unwavering belief in the promise of abundance will attract the wealth you seek. What you expect is what you will receive, so expect greatness, walk boldly in faith, and claim the prosperity that is already yours. Expect wealth, expect success, expect miracles. Your financial breakthrough is not a matter of if, but when, and when it comes, you will be ready to receive it. Your millionaire destiny is waiting. Step into it with confidence. The wealth that is coming into your life is not just for personal gain, it is a divine assignment. God is not only blessing you with financial abundance, He is entrusting you with a greater purpose. This wealth is meant to flow through you, not just to you. It is a tool to create change, uplift others, and leave a legacy that extends far beyond your lifetime. Your financial breakthrough is not just about comfort and luxury, it is about impact. With this wealth, you will have the ability to help those in need, to be a source of provision for those who are struggling. You will be able to support causes that matter, investing in ministries, charities, and initiatives that bring light and hope into the world. You will create opportunities for others, opening doors for those who never had the resources or the guidance to reach their potential. And above all, you will leave a lasting legacy, one that will inspire and bless generations to come. This is bigger than money. It is about stepping fully into your divine calling. The wealth you receive is not just about what you can acquire, but about what you can give, build, and transform. True prosperity is not measured by how much you keep, but by how much you are able to bless others. So as you prepare for the financial overflow that is coming, remember the purpose behind it. You are not just being elevated, you are being positioned to elevate others. Walk boldly in this new season, knowing that your abundance is a divine tool to make a lasting difference in the world. Chosen one, your life is about to change forever. The struggle is ending. The breakthrough is here. The wealth is flowing. You are stepping into a life of abundance, power, and supernatural provision. Do not fear it. Do not resist it. Do not delay it. Receive it. Walk in it. Own it. This is your season of overflow. The world is about to see what happens when a chosen one steps into their divine destiny. Your journey is just beginning, and the best is yet to come. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you never miss these life-changing messages. Together, we will continue unveiling the deeper truths that God has for His chosen ones. May His guidance, favor, and wisdom be with you always. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to rise.